joined today by none other than Adam Scherer, aka Ship My Money. Adam, how are you today?
Doing good. Enjoying Friday. I was saying to Josh before the show that I'm really enjoying kind of digging into the slate because there's a lot of moving pieces, a lot of stuff that uh, you can kind of research a little bit and have to make decisions on. So today's been pretty fun. How's your Friday going?
Pretty good. Yeah, kind of same as you, where it's today's slate is a lot different than yesterday's for sure because it's like so many guys are out. There's a lot of 3K guys that might play up to 30 minutes, so it should be pretty high scoring, pretty exciting. And then of course earlier today we did a little Super Bowl show, so that was fun. If you didn't catch it, make sure to use that if you're betting some Super Bowl or doing some DFS lineups, trying to get that million. Um, but today we kind of are talking about these really great value plays. I think most of them are coming from two teams. We got the Mavs, who are without Luka Doncic for the next couple weeks. A lot of cheap guys on that team, and then on the Grizzlies, we have Jaren Jackson, who got suspended, and Brandon Clark is out. So that's opening a lot of forward minutes. So which team are you looking at to start off your lineups today?
Memphis, I think. So with Dallas, you have the clear. I think probably the highest owned guy on the slate in Brunson, but beyond that, there's not as much. I don't think that's appealing. But Memphis, you just have so many different guys you can rotate through. It's a really appealing matchup, and then you also just have minutes out there that are available. So, I mentioned to Josh, I think that if you're playing a lot of lineups today, it's a spot you can really take advantage of because you don't necessarily have to choose between one of those guys. You can set rules, in Fantasy Cruncher and mix and match. But I think that there's, just a lot of there's multiple value plays coming from Memphis.
Yeah, I think some of them are pretty good. Others I'm pretty questionable on. So I'm looking forward to debating it with you. One, we don't have a lot of injuries left to be determined today, but one is on the Grizzlies with Anthony Melton questionable. So kind of looking for some more insight there. What's going on? But let's start off with this game, I guess. So Memphis at New Orleans. New Orleans is my 7.5 favorite. Highest over under on the slate, 242. Really, really up tempo matchup here. And I'm going to start off with a guy on the New Orleans side who seems to be just incredibly underpriced to me, Zine Williamson. I mean, he played 30 minutes last game, so I'm guessing the minutes cap is off. How many minutes he'll average, I don't have a great sense of that, but that 30 minutes was pretty encouraging. So what are you doing with Zion today?
Yeah, I'm right there with you. I have him in for 30 minutes here. Him getting to 30 last game was really encouraging. I don't know if it goes above that or not, but 30 seems like a pretty good, median spot to be at for me. And it's tough to confidently project rates and per minute production for Zion, obviously, since we only have 4 games from him. And I would expect that his rates drop off and his production drops off a little bit as he gets more playing time because more of those minutes are going to be coming alongside guys like Brandon Ingram and Jrue Holiday. But that being said, at his price tag, at only $7K on DraftKings, at only $6,500 on FanDuel, I don't think there's I couldn't realistically project his rates low enough for him not to be someone that I want at those prices in 30 minutes.
Yeah, definitely. It's hard to see any reason not to play him because he's been averaging well over a point a minute, and if he's playing 30 minutes, projecting him above 40, and at those prices, that's pretty incredible. He has been shooting lights out, 63% true shot percentage, but that's not like so much of an outlier that it's fluky, I guess. The thing I'm most impressed by with Zion is that he doesn't really foul. Only about 3 fouls per 36 so far, and that gives him the upside to play a lot more minutes than some other big guys that foul a little bit too much. So, but he's going to have a big effect on some of the other guys. We've seen Favors kind of see reduced minutes and a little bit lower numbers. But then we have guys like Ingram and Holiday that are high usage guys and have to score a lot of points to get there. How are you handling the rest of the Pelicans?
Yeah, I think that everybody kind of drops off at least somewhat with Zion being back. One thing I did notice from the rotation last game is that they staggered minutes so that Jrue Holiday and Brandon Ingram were playing together and Lonzo and Zion were playing together. So doing that does make it so you can get a little bit more usage for pretty much everyone involved. So I thought that was good to see, as Zion's minutes get up there. One other thing that I've noticed and I think is worth keeping an eye on is that Brandon Ingram's rebounding numbers have really taken a hit since Zion's been back. And to some extent, it does make sense because now you have Ingram starting at the 3 instead of the 4. With the second unit, though, he is still playing at the 4. So I think you'll see a drop off, but probably not as significant as we've seen so far. I think that, Ingram's usage probably goes from the 28 to 29% range down to around 26. I think Drew coming in around 22 or 23% makes sense. And then Lonzo, never a high usage guy anyway, but I think takes a pretty big hit in that department, but should still be able to pick up assists. So I think that Zion's the guy that stands out the most for me, but I do think that there's still some value at 7,400 for someone like Brandon Ingram, maybe a little bit for Lonzo at 7K, but I think Ingram is my favorite New Orleans guy behind Zion.
I have to agree. I think that we've seen his price as high as 9K or above this year, and 7,400 is certainly adjusting for that change in role with the team fully healthy now. But this is the best matchup that you can ask for, or one of the best versus Memphis. So I think that most of these guys are pretty good plays, aside from Drew Holiday and Lonzo on DraftKings being a little bit more expensive than normal. So I think this will definitely be the game of the night, especially with the other side having a lot of the most popular plays in the night. With Joe Val, you gotta like this Jonas Valanciunas versus Derek Favors matchup. I think that isn't too worrisome for Valanciunas. His backup Brandon Clark is out, and then the third stringer Bruno Caboclo is out. So, and Jaren Jackson, who also plays center, is out. So he's being backed up, as far as I can tell, by Yuta Watanabe, and that's a guy who barely sees minutes in the NBA. So, what are you projecting the Memphis team to do center tonight?
Yeah, so I only gave Valanciunas 30 minutes, which I admit is probably a low projection, but it also is going to get him still into as close to all of my lineups. I think that it could be Watanabe, it could be Solomon Hill playing small, because with the New Orleans team, you don't really have any big centers on New Orleans outside of Jackson Hayes playing like 10 minutes. You could put Valanciunas out there, or you could just not really care about Jackson Hayes minutes. So I think that, like, whether it's Kyle Anderson or Solomon Hill or Watanabe, it doesn't really matter who the backup is. The point is that they don't have an actual backup. So Valanciunas should be playing pretty much as many minutes as he can.
Yeah, so we've seen games where he's played into the 30s, so there's definitely upside there. He is cheap, 6,300 on DraftKings, 7K on FanDuel, and you get a 1.45 multiplier on Super Draft, so going to be a core play there. That put him around 60. Of course, we're brought to you by Super Draft today. You don't have to worry about the salary cap, just who the best plays are, so that's a lot of fun. I think they're locking 30 minutes after the normal lock today, so we'll have some time to talk about that at the end of the show. So Joe Val, I think we're kind of in agreement. One of the best plays on the slate. Position, there's a lot of opportunity cost, so that might be a reason why you might not end up with as much ownership as if he was like a small forward or something. But the other guys I'm looking at, we got to look at John Morant and Dillon Brooks, because without Jaren Jackson Jr., who I'm projecting to be spelled by Solomon Hill, that's a difference of about 10% usage, and that's going to go to Morant, Brooks, and Joe Val. So that's making Morant and Brooks appear to be pretty good plays to me, but what do you make of it?
Yeah, I agree. John Morant's usage has been down since coming back from injury last month. But even if you just look at since coming back from the injury, he's played 209 minutes with Valanciunas on the floor without Jaren Jackson. He's averaged 1.03 DraftKings points per minute, 24.7% usage rate. If you go back to the start of the season and include all the games he's played, he gets up to a 28% usage rate alongside Valanciunas without Jackson. So in this spot against a really fast New Orleans team that isn't very good defensively and at a pretty cheap price tag, I think Morant really stands out. And then you've seen Brooks' usage really go up as the season's gone on. And since Morant's injury, he's played 141 minutes alongside Morant and Valanciunas without Jackson, 28.4% usage, just shy of a fantasy point per minute. And I expect 32, 33 minutes from Brooks in an appealing spot. So both of those guys look like really good options to me as well.
Yeah, I think they're going to be pretty popular in lineups tonight because they just fit with whoever you want to pick, pretty mid-range options. So the other guy that's really popular, well, I'll start with Solomon Hill, I guess, because In 3 games where Jonas Valanciunas missed, he started power forward, where Jaren Jackson moved to center. So the logical leap I'm making is now that Jaren Jackson is out, Solomon Hill will start alongside Joe Val. Is that what you're thinking?
I have Anderson starting, but I think that like I don't feel strongly one way or the other. I have them projected for comparable minutes. It wouldn't surprise me if Hill started. But the reason I went with Anderson was just that he's been the first guy off the bench for Jackson normally, and he was getting the starts the last time. He was starting when Crowder was out. He can play both positions, but when he's been healthy, he's normally been Jackson's backup.
Well, this is where I'm taking a stand tonight, I think, because we might get a starting lineup before lock, but I was looking at the last game, and Solomon Hill was backing up the power forward spot. Kyle Anderson was coming in for Brooks and Crowder. They don't have a 1-for-1 rotation, but now that Jaren Jackson is out, it's kind of pushing everyone to different positions a little bit, because if you project Melton to back up Brooks, and then if you project Kyle Anderson to back up Crowder, you probably won't play him. So he has to either back up the 3 and the 4 or start. I'm just not that convinced. Melton is questionable though, so if he misses, that'd be a benefit to Anderson. But this is a very chalky guy tonight with Anderson. He's one of our top projected ownership plays, but I'm not really there. But what about a guy that I'm kind of waiting to get some more minutes is Josh Jackson. He was relegated to the G League for a while, but he is a point-a-minute guy. So if he gets some minutes, he could be in a good spot. But that's the big question mark. Do you think there's any chance he works his way into more minutes?
Yeah, I do. I have him in for like 17, 18 minutes right now. It definitely depends, or I think the minutes are a little bit safer if Melton is out. If Melton is in, what ends up happening is that you basically end up with like 18 to 20 minutes left over, and you can either like give them all to Josh Jackson, or I think you can spread them out, for like Watanabe to get some minutes and Jackson to get less. I'm not real confident in how that would go, but I do think it's interesting to at least take a shot there, especially if he's going to be low owned, because he has always been a good producer from a fantasy standpoint. He's not very good from an NBA standpoint, but this is an appealing game where, New Orleans has a lot of wings. It'll be pretty easy for Jackson to get on the floor. They said that basically they were going to ease him in. He didn't play his first game back. He played 5 minutes last game. They said that, they wanted him to be in a situation where he could be productive when he gets minutes. And if they want to play him here, there's certainly minutes available. So it would be an interesting spot to be mixing him into some tournament lineups, I think.
Yeah, I think that really, really risky play, because you don't know if he's going to play, but there's huge potential. Like he could go out, back up Solomon Hill potentially, and then if he's playing well, who knows what the limit would be. But that's, if you're feeling dangerous, you can mix in some Josh Jackson, I would say. All right, so of course, we have the Super Bowl promotions going on right now. LIV gets you a $54 month of all access. So for Super Bowl 54, pretty exciting tournaments this weekend. So make sure to check out our content there. And then Deeper Dive gets you half off your first weekly membership at Osmo. So make sure to check that out. All right. I didn't talk about Jay Crowder at all, but do you think he sees more minutes with some of these injuries?
Yeah, I think he could. He played 30 minutes last game. He could certainly pick up a little bit more here. But even if he doesn't, I think he's a pretty good value, because the forward position isn't nearly as deep as the guard position is today, or as the center position. So it's a spot where opportunity cost wise, I don't mind taking some shots on lower per minute guys. And Crowder's price tag is still really cheap. It's a good spot. And he's averaged 0.77 DraftKings points per minute alongside Morant. Without Jackson, I would expect that to go up a bit because of the matchup. And he's only 4,500 on DraftKings. So, if he gets 30 to 32 minutes, he looks like a pretty good value.
Nice. So pretty much any Grizzly you could play tonight, I would say.
Yeah, I think Yeah, I think it's really, if you're playing a lot of lineups, it's more about setting rules to figure out or to get, guys not in the same lineup than it is about being like, oh, well, I don't like this guy or I do like this guy.
Yeah. So, for example, you probably wouldn't want to play like 3 of the wings or something like that, I
Right.
guess.
Like I wouldn't want, you wouldn't want like Kyle Anderson plus Josh Jackson plus Solomon Hill or something.
Yeah. And if you're just optimizing based on projected points, you're going to get some of those lineups. All right. Toronto at Detroit, first game of the night. Toronto is a 5-point favorite. Pretty average over under. Honestly, I don't see a lot to be excited about here. Reggie Jackson has been playing more minutes. He had 26 off the bench last game, and those are mostly at the expense of some of the starters like Bruce Brown. And he's getting the minutes. The price is going up a little bit, but still pretty good price. Are you on Jackson tonight?
Not really. I had a lot of him the other day, but even if you give him 26 minutes here, I think that it's kind of a neutral play. There's a lot of opportunity cost to guard today. There's a lot of value at forward, which, as I mentioned earlier, I think is the weaker positions. So, Jackson does still have upside, but it's not a very good matchup. The price tag creeped up a little bit. So I don't think I'll get to a whole lot of Jackson.
Yeah, same. Doesn't really stand out a ton. And then Andre Drummond, not the highest price in the 9Ks on both sites. And I think he's in play, but we have that other center play, Jonas Valanciunas, who's in a really superior spot. So do you think you're going to have any Drummond?
I don't think I'll have much because not only do we have Valanciunas, who I think is just, clearly when you factor in price, a better play, but you also have Nikola Jokic only $100 more on DraftKings. So I think that if I am going like the 2 center approach or, just paying up for one of them, I have Jokic ahead of Drummond as well.
Yeah, fair enough. So maybe a contrarian option. Sekou Doumbouya started the last game, but only played like 12 minutes. Do you have any idea like what was going on there? That was weird.
Christian Wood got some minutes at the 4, which was weird. I don't know if maybe it was just Dwayne Casey wanting to get Wood more minutes. There's been talk about Sekou possibly going back to the G League as well. So Casey was talking about like him not playing with the same energy or same fire that he was earlier. So I think it might just be kind of, it's, a young rookie that kind of is in the doghouse right now. I projected him for like 16 minutes here. I gave Markieff Morris 26. I gave Wood 20. So I don't think it has a really big impact on anything for me, but I do think maybe that you see some more minutes for those guys.
Yeah. Keefe is questionable, I think, still. So if he misses this game, do you think that would give some more minutes to Sekou and Wood?
Yeah, most likely. Probably not enough that I would end up like rostering Sekou, but yeah, you would probably get more minutes there.
Fair enough. Yeah, not anything too exciting here. Let's see. He did change his jersey number to honor Kobe Bryant, so there's a little bit of narrative with Markieff. He has been playing big minutes off the bench, but the price isn't ideal. On Toronto, also not a especially appealing spot aside from Serge Ibaka, only 5,700 on FanDuel with no Marc Gasol, so he's going to be pretty chalky at power forward, I imagine. Is there anyone else on this team that you're looking at?
No, I mean, Ibaka really stands out on FanDuel. On DraftKings, I think that it's more like lineup filler for me because I don't think any of the starters are at bad price points, but I also don't think any of them stand out in the context of the entire slate. One thing that I did notice going back and looking at yesterday was 2 games ago, we saw Kyle Lowry getting minutes with the second unit, which had the potential to make him really appealing going forward. Yesterday, they went back to the normal rotation where all of his minutes were alongside Pascal Siakam, which makes him less appealing. So obviously don't know which way it'll go tonight, but I'm less interested in Lowry after seeing the rotation last night than I was going into last night's game.
Yeah, I think that not too much to get excited about here. Minutes are a little bit down from the season averages. Prices aren't that great. But as you're saying, like they're not priced ridiculously, so you can sprinkle these Raptors into some lineups. The other games are probably a little bit more exciting though. One game that the next game is Chicago at Brooklyn. Brooklyn being a 5-point favorite. I'm really interested in Zach Lavine. with well, first Markkanen was injured, and then Gafford and Wendell Carter were injured. So this is a little bit of an injury depleted team, and Lavine's usage has been up about 10% over his season average in the last few games. He's been rebounding more too, which makes sense because Luke Cornett is a really bad rebounder at the center position. So I'm having Zach Lavine stand out as kind of a top play tonight, but I don't feel great about that. How do you feel about Lavine?
Yeah, I like him too. He made it into the deep dive article today because he's playing huge minutes. He's really the only guy in the Chicago rotation that you can feel really confident about his minutes right now. And it is a pace up spot against the Bulls or against the Nets. And as you said, the usage has been up. Over the last month, the Bulls have played 17 games. Lavine has a 34.3% usage rate. He's averaged a little over 1.2 DraftKings points per minute. And his price tag's coming back down. We had him at 9,800 on DraftKings 2 or 3 games ago. Now he's down to 8,500. You're getting a lot. It's a lot closer to, kind of his median projection or even a little bit cheap. So I do think Lavine really stands out.
Yeah, so pretty good option, kind of in the mid to high tier there with Lavine. There are a couple of value options on the Bulls too. Tomas Satoransky is sub 5K on DraftKings, as well as Kobe White being 3,400. Now, the minutes have been fluctuating wildly based on who's been playing the best in a given game. Chris Dunn has been getting some of the minutes too, but he's priced up a little bit. But that kind of gives you upside if Satoransky or White are playing well, and then they get to close the game. Are you landing on any of them?
Yeah, I think that they're both interesting guys in tournaments. Like in cash games, you're going to just get to guys that you can be more confident in. But like with Kobe White at 3,400, that's for all intents and purposes, the same price point as guys like Solomon Hill and Kyle Anderson. If Kobe White plays well, he can get like 26 minutes, and he's just going to be a lot lower owned than those guys. So it's not the highest probability spot, but I think that he is someone you can use in tournaments so that you get the best possible lineup build tonight, which I think is pretty clearly a stars and scrubs type lineup, but you get a lower owned scrub in there who very easily can beat guys like Kyle Anderson and Solomon Hill.
Yeah, for sure. I think that he doesn't stand out because there aren't as many injuries, but that price point and the opportunity really aren't that much different, because if Kyle Anderson's playing bad, he's going to get benched too. So it's not a huge difference. On Brooklyn's side, Kyrie, really popular with that narrative the other game about Kobe, but he put up a dud. But I'm expecting that with Dinwiddie and Levert off the bench, he should be in a high usage, high assist situation. Price isn't great though. What are you making of Irving?
Yeah, I mean, that's pretty much where I'm at too. It's also a slower paced team in Chicago. For me, he projects really similarly to Zach Lavine, but he's more expensive. So it's not that I think Kyrie is a bad option at his price point. It's just that there's a lot of guards cheaper than him that I think have really high ceilings in games that Caris LeVert has played this year. So I think Brooklyn is a tough team to project because you've had so many moving parts, whether it's LeVert being injured, then Kyrie being injured. But in games where LeVert played, which I think gives us the best grouping of all three guys being healthy, Kyrie still has a 32% usage rate and a 35.5% assist percentage. And as you said, with Dinwiddie going to the bench, you're getting more minutes from Irving alongside low usage guys. So I think it's still a good spot for Kyrie. He still should be productive. It's just hard for me to prioritize him over some of the cheaper guards today.
Yeah, I agree. The price tag isn't that great. So, and the matchup, as you're saying, a little bit slow pace for Chicago. Caris LeVert has been an interesting guy because the minutes have really not been there. His season average is 27, though. He's averaged 23 over the last 15, 24 over the last 5. Is there any chance that if he's playing well, he gets closer to 30? Or, like, I mean, is he just kind of always losing out to guys like Joe Harris and Prince?
You got me because I've been rostering him like every slate. It hasn't been fun. I keep thinking that, if he plays well, maybe he'll get minutes over Joe Harris to close. We haven't seen him play well, but we also haven't seen him get those minutes. So I don't really know. I mean, I have him in for 22 minutes here. I don't really know what else to do. It makes it so, at 4K, you still can take some shots in tournaments, but I think it's just a really risky play, not to mention, now he is playing more minutes alongside Dinwiddie since Dinwiddie's coming off the bench alongside him.
Yeah, so some red flags. This is a guy in Lillard that the opportunity is a little bit higher than the price point. So I kind of like him as a more contrarian play if the ownership's not there. And then what about the rest of the Nets? Are you landing on any of them?
Not really. I'll throw out or I'll mention Garrett Temple just because he's 3,300 and he falls into kind of that same thing we talked about with Kobe White, where Temple's usage goes down now that he's in the starting lineup. But like if you look at the last game, he only played 23 or 24 minutes, but he had his face split open by DeAndre Jordan's elbow in the first half, so he lost some minutes there. I think if he plays reasonably well, and doesn't get injured mid game, he could get 26 to 28 minutes, which puts him in the same minutes range as some of the more popular value options. So not someone I'm super confident in, but you can pretty easily see how he could beat the more popular options at that price point.
Nice. So one thing I gotta note here is Adam and I do our best, but we're limited severely by the number of likes in the YouTube stream. So make sure to click the thumbs up so that our predictions can come true here. And one other thing, we need you guys to help us out by giving us a follow at Osmo NFL. We have a really big giveaway planned for when we hit 5,000 followers there. So hopefully by Sunday we'll get it. So if you're not following it already, make sure to go give us a follow on Osmo NFL on Twitter. All right. So next game we got Dallas at Houston. This one should be one of the best of the day for DFS. On Dallas' side, we got Luka out. On Houston, we got Clint Capella out. So Isaiah Hardenstein, am I
right? Yeah, that was miserable.
Yeah, too soon. Anyway, on Dallas, the trend was when Luka would miss games earlier in the season, Jalen Brunson started. Now, Brunson may have gotten a sour taste in people's mouths because at a certain point, he was projected to start alongside Luka, I think, and then he played like 10 minutes or something, and he was super high owned. So he burned everyone there, but his price tag is super low, it's sub 4K on each site, and he's very productive when Luka is off the floor. Pretty good assist rate and above average usage. So he's the highest owned projected player last time I looked. Do you agree with that?
Yeah, absolutely. I think that what you mentioned is a big difference, and it seemed like people didn't really get it. Like back when Brunson was getting starts alongside Luka, Luka Doncic does everything on the floor. So if you're someone like Jalen Brunson playing alongside him, you're not going to really be productive. If you're getting starts in his place, there's a ton of assists out there. There's a ton of usage available. In the 4 games that Luka missed earlier this season, Brunson started all 4 of them. He averaged 30.7 minutes per game. I think you could actually project him a couple minutes higher too, because in one of those games, he only played 24 minutes, and the rest he was getting a little bit more than 30 minutes. He had a 20.2% usage rate. He had a 49.5% assist percentage, which I would expect to come down over a larger sample. But for the season, he's played 246 minutes with Kristaps Porzingis on the floor minus Luka, 21.1% usage, 36.5% assist percentage, 1.08 DraftKings points per minute. So assuming he gets the start here, I don't really see any reason not to be looking to Jalen Brunson as one of the top values.
Yeah, that works for me. I think that one of the safest plays of the night, and he helps you get in all the studs. We just got some news. Gary Harris is out today, but I'll get to that in a second. So if you create lineups in Optimizer and you get 200% Jalen Brunson, are you gonna leave it, or are you gonna have some lineups without him?
I'm perfectly fine having 100% Brunson if I get there.
All right, yeah, same. So maybe the free square of the day. So the other parts of the team, there should be higher usage for the other guys, but also Luka. This is mostly a scheme-based thing, I assume. Gets a lot of defensive rebounds. He's the highest rebounder on the team. Jalen Brunson is about half as good, or gets half as many rebounds when he's on the floor. So I'm expecting that to trickle out to the other guys, especially Porzingis, whose rebounding rate goes about 25% up without Luka on the floor. So that's making everyone stand out as pretty playable. Is there any particular guys you're looking at?
Yeah, I think Porzingis and Hardaway. It's kind of interesting because Porzingis without Luka on the floor this season has a 28.9% usage rate. He's averaged 1.37 DraftKings points per minute. And like you said, he gets a big boost in rebounding percentage. In the 4 games that Luka missed, though, Hardaway actually had the highest usage percentage, higher than Porzingis. Porzingis was at about 26.5%. Hardaway was at 28.5%. I think that, over more games, you probably would get more usage for Porzingis, but I think that there's a good chance that, or a really good chance, one of those two guys leads the team in usage tonight. The other interesting part, and I think you and I have see it the same way from looking at your projections, but Kristaps Porzingis was averaging like 36 minutes per game when Luka was out before. But since coming back from his injury, Porzingis hasn't played more than 30 minutes. And like looking at first half rotations, even in blowouts, he's been on pace for like 28 minutes. They also play tomorrow. So I'm having trouble projecting him higher than 28 minutes, which does take a little bit of value away.
Yeah, so not a lock play by any means because of that red flag, but definitely a guy when he's on the court, he's going to be productive. So pretty good sign there. Some more news is coming in. Let's see, Dante DiVincenzo is out. I'm expecting Frank Mason to maybe be the backup point guard, but
Yeah, I agree.
then you have Eric Bledsoe potentially playing more minutes.
Yep.
Price is up though because Giannis wasn't allowed to play this game, so not a core play for me. We'll go into deeper depth later. The other news was Markieff Morris is available to play. So he actually I think he played about 26 minutes off the bench last game. That puts him in like the playable territory, but not someone to get real excited about. But how does this news change how you're looking at the slate?
Yeah, I mean, so I had Keith projected in already for 26 minutes. So like you said, he's playable, but not someone that I think will get a lot of. DiVincenzo being out, I agree that Frank Mason probably gets minutes, but you'll probably also just see a couple of extra minutes to guys like Connaughton and Korver.
Yeah, so not any real core plays affected, but do you think Bledsoe could see a big minutes bump with George Hill also out? Or
yeah, I've Bledsoe at 30 minutes here instead of the normal like 26.
Yeah, so there's definitely some potential there. One other thing I'll know with Markieff Morris is that with what we were saying about Sekou Doumbouya, it is possible that he gets a start today, and that would up his projection to being a pretty good value. All right, so I just am updating the projections on the website. So if you have the membership, make sure to refresh those before you crunch. And then also, if you don't have the membership, you can use Deeper Dive to get 50% off the first week. All right, so on the Houston side, no Capella. It's kind of the same effect as no Luka, where he's such a good rebounder, but PJ Tucker isn't nearly as good. So I'm expecting a lot more rebounds for guys like Westbrook, and that's kind of making him playable despite his ridiculous salary. But how are you approaching these Rockets?
Yeah, I think it's a really interesting spot because not only should there be more rebounds available for Westbrook without Capella out there, but you're pretty clearly seeing the offense, like Westbrook, a lot more involved offensively recently too. Whether it's because Harden's playing through injury, because teams are double teaming and trapping him more, or a combination of both. But if you look at the games that they've both played this year, for the entire season, in games that they've both played, Harden has a 35.6% usage rate. Over the last 2 months, it's down to 34.4%. And then this month, it's only at 32.2. So, and Westbrook's, obviously going the other direction. If you look in drives per game from the beginning of the season through the end of December, Harden was at 18.6 drives per game. From January 1st through now, Harden's down to 16.9. So he's driving less. Meanwhile, Westbrook leads the league with 24 drives per game over that time. So the rebounding should be up, and I think that it's gotten far enough now where I'm projecting the usage between these two to be pretty similar, as opposed to Harden having a big gap there. So I really like Westbrook here. I think he projects pretty similarly to Harden. I think that if one of them is going to be a lot higher owned than the other, I would just rather go with the lower owned one, which as of last time I checked ownership projections was Westbrook.
Nice. Westbrook, he's been on the hot streak, so I'm kind of thinking that maybe people are gonna value him higher than Harden if they're casual players. Of course, the sharp players will see the same things as we're seeing, but that's just kind of speculation here. Okay, so We saw last game that Capella is out. Tucker started at center. House started for at the 4, and they won that game in pretty convincing fashion. So, are you expecting them to go back to that lineup?
Yeah, I don't say that with a whole lot of confidence because I was shocked that they did it against what they did against Utah. My assumption is that they'll go with the same lineup because it did work last time. Because you don't have, I mean, you have Porzingis and Maxey pretty much playing the 5 for Dallas. So if you're willing to go with Tucker against Gobert, I would assume that you're willing to do it against Porzingis. If we get a start, like as soon as we get the starting lineup, we'll know, because if we're getting Tucker starting, I think you can treat it like the last game more or less. And then if you're getting Hartenstein starting, then he pretty clearly becomes a top play.
Yeah, man, that would be tilting if Hartenstein got to start here. We just got a super chat from Aiden, so thank you, Aiden. $5. He's asking if JJ Barea is a play tonight.
I have him in for like 10 minutes or something. So no, assuming he doesn't start, I don't think he gets many minutes.
Yeah, that's the tough part, man. Is that he'll just start in the most random spots.
Right.
So it's something that you can keep an eye out for. If he does start, you could switch from Brunson onto him, but
Yeah,
maybe not.
nice that on DraftKings Brunson's 3,800, Barea is 36. So if you get Barea starting over Brunson, you can just global swap.
Yeah. Okay, so back to Houston. I noticed Tucker's rebounding rate goes up pretty significantly without Capella and Hardenstein on the floor, about 20%, when his season average is 14.6% on the defensive end. Thus making him a pretty decent value. I know he's everybody's favorite guy to roster in DFS, so you can land on any Tucker.
I'll get to a little bit. I mean, there's just so much cheap Ford value that I think I would rather get to. But the rebounding, if he starts at center, like you said, does go up quite a bit without any of the other centers on the floor. He's still a 9% usage guy, so I can only get so excited about him. But it's okay.
Yeah, if you share our lack of enthusiasm for PJ Tucker and fantasy, make sure to click this like button. I'm pretty sure the likes will come flooding in. Next game, Denver at Milwaukee. Milwaukee is a pretty significant favorite, 12 points. A little bit surprising, but I mean, they are the favorites to win the NBA title this year. Gary Harris was just ruled out. A shame because he was only 3,700 tonight on DraftKings, but um, what we'll see is probably more minutes for Monty Morris, Malik Beasley, and Porter. More consistent minutes off the bench. Torrey Craig go a little bit more minutes. But the guy I'm most interested in is Will Barton, who seems to benefit a lot when Harris is off the court. How are you approaching these Nuggets?
Jokic is the guy that stands out the most to me. He's played at least 34 minutes in every game since Plumlee's injury. His usage and assist percentages go up with Millsap and Murray being out. Since they both went down, they've played 8 games now. 30.5% usage rate for Jokic, 34.5% assist percentage. And even though Milwaukee's a good defensive team, they're the fastest paced team in the league as well. And Jokic's salary on DraftKings dropped from 10-1 yesterday to 9,400 today. So clearly being factored in, it is the difficult matchup. On FanDuel, where you only roster one center, obviously it's tough because of the opportunity cost with Valanciunas. But on DraftKings, where you can get the both, I'm really interested in Jokic. Barton, I think, is the next guy for me from Denver. The minutes should be there with Harris out. Played about 36 minutes last night. I think you can see similar tonight. He has a 17% assist percentage and a 21% usage rate since Murray and Millsap went down. So I think that he's a reasonable option at his price based on minutes.
The thing I love about Barton here is that we saw several times when Monty Morris would get the start. PJ Dozier would be the backup point guard, but Barton would close the game at point guard, and that kind of gives him a little bit more upside than normal, and the price is pretty good. I agree with you. Jokic is a really good play tonight, too. His minutes have been way up since Mason Plumlee's been out, and his assist percentage has been a lot higher with Jamal Murray out, so a really good play tonight. And then the rest of the guys, a little bit harder to get to, but Michael Porter is a fantasy favorite. He's pretty cheap on FanDuel at 4,800. Do you think that he has the upside to be worth it in GPPs today?
Yeah, I think he definitely has the upside. He's obviously risky because even like last night he played about 24, 25 minutes, had a monster game, but um, the minutes are risky. But it is a fast paced game. They'll need his offense, and he's really cheap on FanDuel. 5,400 on DraftKings. If you're playing 150 lineups, I could see having some, but clearly not a priority.
Yeah, that checks out. And then Jeremy Grant has been getting huge minutes ever since Mason Plumlee went on, but the per minute rates don't seem to have really budged a lot, so he's not standing out a ton to me. Despite the fact that I have him for 35 minutes, but do you think he'd land on Grant at all?
Uh, I agree with you. Like he's getting backup center minutes, which is nice and should lead to more production, but still nothing that I'm really excited about.
Yeah. And then Morris is $4,300 on FanDuel, so really good value at point guard. Um, do you think you'll have him, or there's too many other good values?
There's too many other good values for me. Like on DraftKings, he's priced up, but on FanDuel at 4,300, that's obviously a good value. But you have Brunson, that's still a lot cheaper, and you just have so many high upside point guards that are really cheap as well. So unless you're making a lineup where you're just like intentionally pivoting from Brunson to Morris, I think that you're probably really capping your upside if you're making lineups that have both of Brunson and Morris.
Okay, yeah. That's you're right. The lamp construction just doesn't really work that well. So next game, Oklahoma City at Phoenix. About a pick 'em. Phoenix is favored by a point, 222 over under. Pretty average there. Oklahoma City is fully healthy, aside from Steven Adams, who seems to be on this fitness minutes limit. What is going on with Steven Adams? Because every day it's like I'm projecting him to do a lot better than his salary, but it doesn't seem to happen.
Yeah, I mean, they said that he's basically going to be playing through an injury for like the rest of the year. But also, I mean, he did lose playing time to the blowout or last game. He played like 26 minutes. I think that you can get at least 26, 27 minutes here, which at 4,900 on DraftKings in a good spot against Phoenix is actually, I think, pretty appealing.
Yeah, I have to agree with you. And we did talk about how stacked center is today, so probably a third to Jokic and Joval, but appealing option on its own. And then Nerlens Noel, man. For some reason, this guy always lands in my FanDuel lineup because he's a power forward. Uh, he has really good per minute rates. He plays about 20 minutes a game. So, do you like him on FanDuel?
Yeah, I always get to a little bit of him in tournaments just because of the per minute rates, like you said. I always, in general, I think that high per minute backup centers are a spot that you can kind of attack in tournaments because they only need one guy ahead of them normally to get in foul trouble or whatever. And they're always low owned because their median projection isn't that good. So with someone like Noel, if the game blows out or if Adams for any reason were to only play like 22 or 23 minutes and Noel gets 25 or 26, you're looking at, a 1 or 2% owned guy that can win you a tournament.
And one other narrative here. This might sway you, but Steven Adams, he's from New Zealand. I was thinking like Australian Open, Steven Adams, maybe that same like continent could inspire him to greatness tonight. But what about the other guys on this team, the Thunder? Are you looking at any, Paul?
Well, if you're looking for an Adams narrative, you could go that in all three times he faced DeAndre Ayton last year, he just went absolutely apeshit and made Ayton like look like a child. So that is something that's there. But for the other guys, Paul and SGA, I think both look like pretty good options. Gilgeous-Alexander is just playing huge minutes. Even last game against the Kings, where it was a blowout, he played 39 minutes. He got a ton of garbage time run for absolutely no reason, which I was happy with, but also didn't really make sense, but makes you feel confident in his minutes going forward. Chris Paul's cheap, and both of these guys are at the John Morant price point, which means that naturally I think you're going to get a little bit lower ownership than you otherwise would in a favorable matchup against the Suns. So they're guys that you can get at pretty low ownership in tournaments, I think.
Nice. So yeah, you can't go with all the best plays. So sprinkling in some of these guys that are good but not great, like Shea, makes a lot of sense. So the other side, Phoenix, Ricky Rubio, his price tag on FanDuel is just insane at 5,500. So even though there's no real like reason to go to him, I think he's going to be really popular tonight. And then the other guy on this team that I'm really looking at, Mikal Oubre is kind of the same boat, but then Mikal Bridges started last game over Dario Saric. He was on pace to play high 30s before getting pulled in the fourth during a blowout. But that makes him a pretty nice value, maybe overshadowed by some of the others on the slate. But how are you approaching Rubio and Bridges?
Yeah, that's where I'm at with Bridges too. The minutes look nice. He's not the best per minute producer, especially when you're talking about playing the bulk of his minutes alongside Devin Booker, who's going to eat up pretty much all the usage. And then, also with Oubre and Ayton being high usage guys. But, so I think there's values I like more, but the minutes should be there for him. Rubio's salary looks really nice. I do have some concerns just because you've really seen Devin Booker take over this offense recently. At the beginning of the year, you were seeing Rubio actually be just as productive as Booker on a per minute basis when they're on the floor together. Now you're seeing Booker just pretty much run everything. In 15 games over the last month, Rubio's played 14, Booker's played 15. Rubio only has a 17.9% usage rate compared to 33% for Booker. Earlier in the season, you were getting like 29% for Booker. So it does concern me for Rubio, but at the same time, the price tag is dropping to where if you just get kind of a fluke game where Rubio is more involved offensively, it's really easy for him to beat that salary. This just isn't really the slate where I think I need to be going there all that often at point guard.
Yeah, now that I'm looking at it, it does look like Rubio's rates have fallen significantly in both usage and assists. So that's a great point to make here. That maybe if you're just looking at the season averages, he'll be a little bit more appealing than when you dig into it. And then Aiden is a guy that really overshadowed tonight by all the other centers, but maybe a nice late option.
Yeah.
Do you have any reason why you'd go to him?
Minutes. I mean, in competitive games, he's playing huge minutes, but the problem that I run into is just that he's $2,000 more expensive than Valanciunas, and he's like $1,000 less than guys like Drummond and specifically Jokic. Not to mention, like, you have the value in Steven Adams also. So I think the minutes look really good, but it is a tough matchup against OKC, and it's just kind of an awkward price point.
Yeah, so a little bit tougher to get to Aiden tonight. We did get some news. Daniel House is starting for Capella. So
good.
Yeah, if you guys had any hard to sign, first of all, you must have been living under a rock the past week. And second of all, like, now you gotta switch him out for sure.
So does Daniel House play 46 minutes again?
Yeah. So do you think that maybe people overlook Hardenstein when maybe there is potential that he'll play more minutes off the bench?
I mean, I think there is. Like, I have him in for 16 minutes here. Again, I think the range is really wide, but it is worth mentioning because there's a very clear path to how he could be a good play. Like, Thabo Sefolosha played 26 minutes in that game. Daniel House played 46. That doesn't have to happen again. And if you go and look beyond that game, look at games that Capella's been out where Hartenstein didn't start, he's ranged from like 6 minutes to 30 minutes. So, I don't think that it's very likely that he's a great option, but I do think that his ceiling is much higher than what we saw the last time.
Yeah, man, that was crazy, but I'm gonna have a hard time trusting him over some other value options now. So that'll be a guy where if he breaks the slate, I'll be like, man, some days he can't win.
Yeah, but if he breaks the slate, I'll be scrolling through my lineups hoping I have like 3 with him.
All right, so in the next game, we got the kind of streak player of the week, Damian Lillard, facing off against the Lakers. I saw you ranting about how people in chat were all about Damian Lillard, and then you were like telling him nah, and then he went out and like crushed it. So
yeah,
I mean, you gotta just kind of ride that out until he falls back to earth, right?
Yeah, I mean, you can project him a bit higher today with Melo out, but it's the thing to keep in mind whenever you have a situation like this is that Damian Lillard's ceiling has never been in question. So Damian Lillard having big games even after CJ McCollum came back doesn't like prove anything is different with him other than he's just had 2 really big games. That's always been the case, but with the salary being up, you're still paying a premium for his recent production, which you probably shouldn't be. I think that at 9,900 he's viable on DraftKings, but I still would have him a little bit behind, a $10,500 Westbrook or $10,600 Harden. Melo being out does make it a little bit more appealing, though. He has, since Melo joined the team, in minutes without Melo on the floor, he has a 34% usage rate. But I think that it's a little bit high because they've been staggering minutes so that McCollum and Melo play together. So normally if Melo's not on the floor, it's also meant that McCollum is not on the floor. If you go back and kind of average out the minutes to figure out how many minutes McCollum and Lillard are going to play together today and how many minutes they're going to be apart, I think around a 31% usage rate for Lillard is a good projection. So I do think that he projects well, just not quite as well as some other guards.
Yeah, I agree. One of the stats I look for predicting the heat check is the true shot percentage. Over the last 5 games, Damian Lillard has had a 72% true shot, which is 1.4 points per possession, which is much higher than his season average of 62%. So that is one reason why he has been having such insane performances.
Yeah.
But Melo being out is a positive factor.
Yeah, in the 2 games since McCollum came back where Lillard has gone absolutely nuts, he has shot 14 for 24 from 3, which is not going to keep happening.
Yeah, that'll wreck some slates. All right, can you include some groups info for Osmo plus subs daily? Yes, Dan, that's a pretty good idea. All right, yeah, Damian Lillard's multiplier is only 1.1 on Super Draft as well, so they're being pretty stingy with that. Of course, if you're not a Super Draft member, you can use the code Osmo to get a bonus, and we're actually going to be covering them at the end of the show on Live Before Lock, so make sure to stay tuned after Lock. So CJ McCollum and Hassan Whiteside both stand to benefit with Carmelo out of the lineup today. CJ is better priced on DraftKings, and then Whiteside is better priced on FanDuel, but him being a center is kind of a knock against them. You see yourself landing on an ACJ?
Yeah, I think 6,400 looks really good on DraftKings. You should get somewhere between 36 and 38 minutes. You get a little bit more usage because instead of when he gets his around 10 minutes now without Lillard on the floor, he doesn't have to deal with Melo either. So he should just be shooting as much as he possibly can. I think that he's just kind of mispriced on DraftKings.
Yeah. So, how does that land him as far as exposure for you? Because he falls in the same category as guys like John Morant and Dillon Brooks, where it's just so easy to put him in the lineup, but doesn't really help your overall projection a ton. Do you see yourself having a lot of CJ, or just kind of like one in every like 10 or 5 lineups?
I haven't crunched yet, but I would guess it ends up being 20-25% range. I think that my assumption is that in lineups where I have some lower owned guys, I'll be kind of mixing between like John Morant and McCollum. And then in lineups where I'm already more contrarian, like those roster spots will end up turning into guys like, Chris Paul or something like that.
Nice. On the other side, we got AD back. He played big minutes the last game, so I think you can safely assume that he's not going to be limited in this game, although he was questionable at the start of the day. Then we have LeBron. I mean, man, the narrative here, the first home game after, the tragic death of Kobe Bryant, like there's going to be something going on in this arena tonight, but I don't really know how to predict that in DFS. What do you make of that?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know how to quantify it. The, I guess, good thing is that at his price at 10-3, you don't really you can project it completely normal, and he still looks like one of the best plays on the entire slate, especially when you consider that, like if you're paying up for LeBron at forward, you can get to those mid-range point guards that have a really high ceiling. Whereas if you're paying up for like a James Harden, you're costing yourself a guard spot and then still have to fill in the forward spots. So I think that the opportunity cost is a little bit lower on LeBron than it is those guys as well. So certainly doesn't hurt that he, you can make whatever narrative argument that you want here either.
Yeah, that's true. It'll definitely be a game that has a lot of attention on it, and that could be a reason why he maybe plays harder. But like these NBA players play hard pretty much every game, so it's hard to really determine a distinction there. But the rest of the team, Kuzma and Rondo are both sub 4K, so they're kind of value plays, especially in the night slate. Do you see yourself having any exposure in the main slate?
Probably not much, just because there's already so many guys that I'm going to be rotating through. And then also a lot of those guys are even cheaper than Rondo and Kuzma. I won't be upset if I get to a little bit just because they are so cheap and it's a good matchup against Portland for sure. But just so many guys to get to today.
Yeah, not a great way to improve your projection there. So I agree. And then finally, Alex Caruso is questionable. So if you have him in your FanDuel lineup, like I don't know how that would happen, but if he's out, I'm just projecting Troy Daniels to get some minutes. Do you think that makes any difference?
Yeah, it sounds about right. Maybe an extra minute or two for Rondo or KCP, but shouldn't make too big of a difference.
Cool. So, as I mentioned earlier, we need those thumbs up to make sure that these predictions turn out to be right when this slate plays out. Usually we have 100% accuracy rating. We're pretty good. And one thing we're doing right now for the Super Bowl, we have a special giveaway going on Osmo NFL. The only thing is I can't reveal what it is until we get to 5,000 followers. That's kind of what we've been putting out there. Right now we are at 4,800 and there's 2,000 people watching this stream right now. So if some of you guys aren't following it, make sure to go out Osmo NFL on Twitter and give us a follow so we can make this giveaway happen. And finally, just going through the overview of the slate tonight, what's going to be your general approach to tonight's slate?
Lots of Jalen Brunson, lots of Jonas Valanciunas. Both guys are popular, but I think for very, very good reason. I think that my approach will be to get contrarian in spots where, and I mean, in general, it's my approach to be contrarian in spots where there's similarly projected guys that, maybe the ownership disparity, there's an ownership disparity. So like, I think one spot you can do that is with the mid-range guards between Morant and McCollum being the obvious options, but then looking at guys like SGA, Chris Paul, similar guys in that price range. And then with the cheap forwards, maybe Kyle Anderson gets a lot of ownership, but like you said, you can pivot to Solomon Hill. You can look to, if you're willing to take on the risk, you can look to guys like Josh Jackson. So I think that I'm willing to eat what I think is really good chalk at the top, and then looking to be contrarian amongst the mid-range guys.
Yeah, for sure. I think that getting a couple of those low-owned guys that may project for 30 or 40 is pretty good. I just got called out by Hunter, so thank you for this. He said we skipped AD. That's totally my bad, but he's also pretty well priced on DraftKings tonight. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, I think so too. Like, there's nothing wrong with Davis. It's just that he's only $700 less expensive than LeBron is, and LeBron is the better per minute guy. So I would give the edge to LeBron.
Yeah. I think that's fair. AD is a good play tonight, though, so that's something I'm looking at. And finally, someone asked us about Jamal Murray. Apparently, he hasn't been ruled out today yet. Do you think there's any chance that he comes back tonight? And then, there's some controversy about this, so it looks like maybe Murray's out. Do you have any up-to-date info here?
He's out in the injury report.
Okay. All right. Thanks, Josh. So that answers that question. So thanks to everyone for tuning in to the Deeper Dive. And we got a show coming up next with Josh and Chris Spags. So make sure to keep tuned. And thanks everyone for watching.
guys, we should be starting up now. Hello, everybody. Welcome to the awesemo.com live before lock show. Got ourselves a 7-game slate out there, one that's looking like one of the more stars and scrubs-based slates we've had in a while, but maybe this man across from me will disagree. I'm Chris Spags, joined as always on Fridays by my Friday buddy who loves nothing more than my hairstyle choices over the last 2 weeks. Good job, Sir Josh Engelman. How you doing, Josh?
I'm pretty good, actually. This has been a nice Friday. I kind of like this slate, so that's usually a sign that I'm going to take a beating. But no, I'm ready. It should be fun. No pigtails, so I'm happy. I'm happy for you, not for me. It makes no difference to me.
Okay. I'm glad. No, look, pigtails are for winning days, and that was what it was last Friday. So I think it's time to get back on track once again. And one other way that I'm ensuring my night goes well, pigtails or not, is at superdraft.io. I can step into the future of DFS, and I can also get myself a sign-up bonus if I hadn't signed up already, but obviously did that a while ago. But you can do it for yourself right now at superdraft.io. Use the promo code AWESEMO to get yourself $20 free with a deposit of $100 or more. And the bonus is Superdraft, besides the fact that we are doing another special half-hour show after the regular slate locks across all the other sites at 7 p.m. East Coast time. Do another half hour on there. Their slate locks at 7:30 p.m. And right now, they have a lot of overlay coming in that tournament up top with $3,500 at first place. So they are putting real prize pools behind it. Go check them out right now. Go sign up now. You do the rest of your lineups. Then you can just hang out with us for that last half hour while you make your super draft lineups. And the bonus of playing on Super Draft, besides the $20 that we give you, is just that you are able to pick any players you want. Any salary doesn't matter. It's just all the players that you want. You can build your own dream team with their multiplier tournament format. So go check them out right now. Sign up right now at superdraft.io or by downloading Super Draft from the App Store. And when you sign up, use that promo code AWESEMO. While during the sign up process, there'll be a little field there. Just do that to get yourself $20 free with your deposit of $100 or more. Go check them out right now. And one other promo, real fast. So is an important one for you guys. This one's just straight beneficial, even though Super Draft, obviously a partner of ours, and they are benefiting you. This one is just for you guys. If you go right now to Awesemo NFL, our Twitter handle, we are a couple hundred followers away from the biggest giveaway our social media team has ever done. We are short right now. They wanted to get to 5,000 followers to set it off. I don't even know if they're going to do it if we don't get to 5,000 followers because our team are men of their words, but go follow it right now. It'll benefit you. It'll be the biggest giveaway we've done for the @Awesemo NFL handle for any of our handles. Let's go follow them right now on Twitter @Awesemo NFL. All right, Josh, that was out of breath from all the shilling, but we got a lot to talk about here. Jalen Brunson, play of the day everywhere, very cheap. Has seen a historically big benefit with Luka Doncic out, averaging about 1.1 to 1.2 fantasy points per minute, depending upon who you put on the court with him. Seems like a strong play at his prices. I guess the key thing right now, how are you with Brunson? Seemed like Adam and Alex were very bullish on him. I am as well. Is he a guy that you're willing to get 100% of in your crunches?
I'm not going to have 100%, although I wouldn't mind having 100%. There's just enough value out there that I'm just going to cycle through some guys, but I expect him to be the most owned guy that I have across everything today.
Yeah, I agree. I guess the question that people always want to ask, even when there is a guy who's had the obvious uptick in the past and we have it, and we point to the data with it, all of that, is there a pivot for you on the Mavs that you find to be particularly appealing and you're going to land on maybe if you're doing groups or if you just wanted to get some lineups in there without Brunson? Is there one that you would see as being a guy to go to instead?
That's a good question. I haven't thought about it. Not really. I mean, I guess no, not really. Not at comparable prices. Like Dillon Wright's already $5K. That's $1,200 more expensive than Brunson, so he's not getting ownership for a reason. I don't have a ton of it. Like, I don't think Barea plays enough minutes to matter. Seth Curry can get there, but like again, he's $700. He's $1,000 on DraftKings more expensive. So I don't see anything on Dallas that's like a direct pivot. I'm just good to go there. Now, if we're talking like Memphis value opening things up and potentially Bucks value with DiVincenzo out, I'd rather just play a bunch of Jalen Brunson. Feels fine by me.
I don't mind Dillon Wright. I think his price is weird enough at 5K on DraftKings where if he does spike an upside, and I think he can in this kind of matchup against Houston, where there's going to be some more rebounds to go around with no Capella, a smaller group in there for them overall, and they certainly don't seem like they want to play Isaiah Hartenstein. Right, if he gets you to 25 minutes, I think he's in play as having some upside at 5K, probably not as much upside as Brunson at a discount. but I don't mind Wright as a guy to just get some exposure to because I do think things can go his way. Is he somebody you don't have any of or you don't anticipate having any of at all?
I won't have any on DraftKings. It's possible I have some on FanDuel where he's 4,200, but he's not in my player pool on DraftKings.
Okay, that's fair. I think he's a guy who's low owned who could have, it's a really nice environment for them. If they are going to keep this game close against Houston, I think you need to see a lot of guys overachieve here. And one of the teammates as well for Dallas that I'm into, which I'm curious to see your take on, Kristaps Porzingis. The minutes haven't been there quite as much. He's averaged around 1.3 fantasy points per minute without Luka this year. We had that stretch where he was having monster upside when Luka was out for about 4 or 5 games. How do you feel about Porzingis? Because his price to me looks really appealing. He's definitely priced for a situation where Luka is in. But if he's not in, I really think I'm more confident in him than the 16% ownership right now in DraftKings.
So I had him in for 26 minutes earlier today, and that just felt wrong to me, even though I have no confidence in his minutes whatsoever. So I bumped him to 28. I'm not really getting him on DK at 6,800. I am getting him quite a bit on FanDuel at 6,400. He is currently my most owned power forward on FanDuel.
Okay. Are you taking, I guess I should check to see if this has changed, but Ibaka's still fairly chalky on there. Is he also going to be a very popular power forward play for you?
He's just a hair behind Porzingis. I expect it to be those two as my tops with AD third.
And I've seen you talk about this in Slack, so I know the answer, but your thoughts on Zine Williamson being very highly owned at power forward and pace-up game against Memphis where they should be a little bit weaker inside with Brandon Clark doubtful, Jaren Jackson suspended, Jonas Valanciunas hasn't played the best versus New Orleans in the past, but we'll talk about him in a second. But Zion, are you there with him at power forward or what are you doing?
I am not, at least not relative to our ownership. I'm pretty light. With that said, he is the guy that I am most different from Alex from today. And I don't really know what to do with that information. I don't mind it so much because I think that if I projected him the way that Alex did, I would get him too much. He's highly variant. Like, he is arguably the most variant player in the league. We don't really know how many minutes he's going to play. We don't really know his baseline talent level or his rates. So the error bars are pretty high. I don't need to be there on guys like that when they're chalky. I'd rather be there on guys like that when they're not. I will say that when I looked at props in the industry, they're not the most efficient market in the world. I do like to use them as sort of a sense check. They are not favorable for him. A lot of juice is on the under. Now, that can be changed by one sharp player's bet on a $100 prop. So I don't want to look too far into it, but it at least gave me pause of like boosting up everything across the board. So
okay.
I'm a little nervous about it, but at the same time, like, if he drops a 50 burger on me, I'm willing to eat that today.
So I agree. I'm playing more Zion than you will, I think. Well, definitely on FanDuel, but I'm playing more on DraftKings than you will, I think, on FanDuel. I'm okay with him. And I think, the issue with guys like this, and I feel like we talked about it a couple times in general, but with Chris Boucher, I feel like is the best example where people are like, oh, there's a chance he may get minutes. I got to get him in there. And it's like, that's a very different situation because he's a guy who's not starting. He's not the number one pick who they're clearly force feeding minutes to you and trying to find ways for him to optimize and be the most effective that he can be. Including last game for Zion, they did separate him out from Brandon Ingram and Drew Holiday. They had him also in a group then with Lonzo, and then they had him in a group with Drew, but without Ingram. So they were trying to make sure all these guys get their usage and get their opportunities. I just think the enthusiasm for Zion could be a bit more than his actual upside. He's only played 96 minutes of regular season basketball this year. Yeah. I think he's great. I think he's a strong play today. But I think where he's that chalky, I would actually agree with you. I think a little too much Zion ownership on FanDuel in particular.
I wholeheartedly agree. I know that I don't have him on DraftKings as of right now. I'm not comfortable with it in any way because he's the type of guy that you would like want to root for while he's playing. I just think he's going pretty dramatically over-owned. Like, I have his implied ownership around 18%. I have slightly less than that. We have him at 31 on FanDuel. I would have to really goose his projections to get up near that 31% number. And ultimately, like, I would just rather have Porzingis for $100 less or, Serge Ibaka for $800 less. Like, if they're going to be owned similarly, I'll just take Ibaka
Yeah, I agree. I mean, with Gasol out, I think Ibaka the last 2 days on FanDuel to me has been a smash play. He didn't go nuts yesterday by any stretch, but I thought he was worth playing on DraftKings too, where he has the elevated salary. So I agree. Like on FanDuel, it's a different game for me and Zion. I think Zion, the 18% that he has projected ownership on DraftKings, that seems fair to me. I'm around there. I think I'll probably end up between 15 and 20, depending upon how the next hour goes and how everything looks. But I don't mind it. I think he's a fine enough play. I think he's exciting. You know, if you want to play fun players, that is part of it. And he looks great on Super Draft as well. Good multiplier on there. So if you want to play a guy and root for him in a game that is a pace up that should be lacking in defense, I think that's fine. But I just think that there are better power forward plays on FanDuel that I'm more confident in both the floor and the ceiling for those guys. And I think Zion is just, I agree, he's just overowned on FanDuel. But DraftKings, that's fine. Let's go through the rest of this, I guess, this game, and in particular the Memphis side. And we should talk about other stuff. Got some super chats in here, which I want to hit on. But Gannon, I do have your super chat saved, so we'll get to you in a second here. But I want to talk about Memphis fast because obviously there's a lot of ramifications there from the guys that we have out. Jonas Valanciunas should be seeing more minutes. You would think his run feels hard to imagine a way he doesn't get over 30 minutes in this game. But who knows, given that he has struggled a little bit versus New Orleans. The last time they played, he only played 21 minutes and it wasn't foul trouble. He just wasn't in position well. It was gassed and pretty obviously in the first half in particular. But this Memphis team, you know, Solomon Hill, you can argue who's going to pick up the start here. I don't think we have that news yet. But, you know, you got Solomon Hill, you got Kyle Anderson, very cheap. Jay Crowder's back in the lineup. He's also affordable. A lot of people spinning that Ja Morant Rookie of the Year narrative I've seen in our premium Slack and YouTube chat today. Which Memphis guys do you have the most of, and which were you avoiding, if any?
Yeah, I'm going to have a lot of Valanciunas. I think he plays 30-plus minutes unless he fouls out, and I would expect him to have to use all of his fouls if he doesn't play 30 minutes. They just don't have any other guys that approximate centers, and he needs to be out there for those minutes. Otherwise, guys like Zion are going to run right through everybody. I'm largely indifferent about Ja Morant. I will have him. I assume that I'm right around the field. I'm going to have a lot of Kyle Anderson just because of his price. I hate myself for it. I'm going to have a bit of Jay Crowder. That's mostly positional, and you know, the price is fine. I've got my eye on, DeAnthony Melton. He's not going to pick up any ownership unless he gets ruled in shortly. Went through shoot around today, got upgraded to questionable. I am treating it like he's going to play, and I think that's a nice place to get a little different. Dude has no problem shooting. 1.12 fantasy points per minute over the last 30 days, 4,300 on FanDuel, 4K on DraftKings. For a guy that I'm not expecting, unless we get like really early news, I'm not expecting to be owned more than like 2%. And I'm going to have probably 15 to 20.
Okay. Yeah, Melton's been very productive, and he is one of the better net rating players in the league, which is just a random, not even an aberration fact. He just has been one of the best players right up there with LeBron in terms of the differential with him on the court and off it. So I don't mind Melton. I think, you know, certainly news-wise, you got to watch that. But a guy that I'm intrigued by, and it might be a little bit of not even recency bias, but just bias from when he has picked up starts. Solomon Hill, minimum price on DraftKings. I think also minimum price on FanDuel. You're giving up, there is some opportunity cost for playing him on FanDuel, but on DraftKings, a minimum price. I'm intrigued by Solomon Hill. Not a great per minute player, about a 0.75 per minute guy. I still don't care. I think he's going to see enough run here and maybe a little revenge narrative for old Solomon Hill. Not really, but he did play for New Orleans. I don't know. Solomon Hill, is he a guy for you at all?
I have him right around the field, 15%. I hate it, but the salary works. He's bad. He's like really bad from a DFS perspective. He might be the backup 5 today, which is just mind-boggling. Look, you kind of know what you're going to get out of him. He's never been good, like a 0.7 guy. But when you're the flat minimum, you are in play. And on a day where Memphis sort of has unlimited minutes to play with, he's got to be involved. But like, I would greatly prefer most of the other Grizzlies.
That's fair. I mean, look, not a high usage guy by any stretch, but does a little bit of everything enough where in this kind of pace up, high speed environment, that's going to, we expect to see in this game. A gigantic total here. It's was at 242.5 combined total last that I checked, which, you know, we've seen some totals around there recently, but like Milwaukee versus Washington was 244 earlier in the week. So you're in pretty rich company there with that much of a total. And Solomon Hill gets you 10 points, so it gives you 10, 5, and 5. You know, I don't think that's outlandish at all. He can have an outlier day for Solomon Hill, and that doesn't take much to be at a minimum price.
No.
Anybody else in this game? I guess Jonas, you mentioned fast. Is he a guy worth the chalk ownership for you because the minutes are secure, or is there some reason to move away for you at all on FanDuel?
He's my third most owned guy on DraftKings right now, so I'm like chilling with the field. I have 44% on FanDuel as of right now, which is north of where we have him at 28. I have no qualms going to him. He looks fantastic.
Okay. Yeah.
If he blows up and like plays 20 minutes, I'm fine with that because it's not like he's not good in short stints. He's not like some 0.8 guy just getting extra time. He's just the only center remaining. So I have to at least hitch my wagon a little bit. I think he's going a little underowned. I also think Andre Drummond is going a little underowned. That's sort of like my center stand on FanDuel.
Yeah, Drummond, a guy I certainly haven't heard much conversation about, and Jonas will be, for a lot of people, I think, a lock play. His DraftKings price to me, it's low. It's just a very low price for him. And if he's going to see 30 minutes, it's hard to imagine he doesn't smash that. Even if you put him in for 25, he's still coming up a lot with an optimizer. So I'm okay with Jonas. It feels like it worries me a little bit because he's so slow and gets so out of breath and pace up spots that it can be a little scary. But I think he's there, and I think he's worth the field's ownership, and I'll be above it, even though that feels a little bit chalk donkey-ish on a slate of this size. Got the super chat question I want to get to here because it does involve the Lakers. And once again, I feel like it's worth hitting on. We don't know how to quantify some of the narrative things. I live in downtown LA. I can tell you that Staples Center has been wild recently with all the flowers and tributes out there. I'm sure you've seen it online as well. In this game tonight, you might have seen the pictures on social media, including on Dame Lillard's own Instagram. They have 24 jerseys on one side or 24 jerseys on one side, 8 jerseys on the other side. Going to be a real emotional day in LA. And Gannon's asking, can I fade LeBron at 55% and go to AD at 22% on FanDuel? I have a hard time fading LeBron today. AD's price on FanDuel, you could speak to more. But how do you feel about fading LeBron and going to AD on FanDuel?
I'd play them both. I have roughly 40% of both guys right now. They're both around 22% owned. I expect LeBron's ownership to be higher than what we're projecting right now, but that's neither here nor there. I would be okay having both guys. I don't mind if you want to fade LeBron for Anthony Davis like that. We're talking about two guys that are really, really good at basketball. AD is $900 cheaper. There are no pay-up options at power forward. After Anthony Davis, you're dropping all the way down to Zine Williamson. So I think it's fine. I like them both a lot. So I can't... right now I have 42% LeBron James and 38% Anthony Davis. I'm not really in any position to be telling anybody what to do between the two of them.
Yeah, that's fair. I definitely have more LeBron than AD on DraftKings, where AD is at a better price, but I'm really heavy on Porzingis today just because I think he's going to see enough run to be useful. And again, I have the visions of him playing well without Luka still dancing in my head from the last run that he had. But LeBron, dual position eligibility at point guard and small forward on DraftKings. The price works. You can make an argument for, like James Harden being worth that too, but you can actually afford both guys. You could also afford LeBron with Damian Lillard if you want to buy in on this massive heater that he's on right now. So LeBron to me is the guy on DraftKings. I'm over the 27% we have projected for him. Yeah. AD, nice discount, but I'd rather have LeBron.
I have a lot of LeBron. He's my second most owned guy on DraftKings, and I also think that if he's 20, I expect him to be significantly more owned than the 26% we're projecting as of right now.
I want to jump back to your Drummond take in a second, but I feel like we have to talk about the Blazers side here. Carmelo Anthony not available for the game, but Damian Lillard, just a monster over the last 4, over 70 fantasy points. Started that heater without McCollum in the lineup. Then McCollum came back in, and he still had 84 fantasy points in a game against Indiana, who I feel like is a decent comparison for the Lakers in terms of their defense and having guys to throw at you. And schematically, too, they're pretty sound. Lillard, too, also the guy shooting the most deep threes in the league now. He's past Trae Young officially. Really been doing that at a high rate over the last month. I don't have his numbers in front of me, but are you buying in on Lillard at all? Because his price is down enough on DraftKings where I'm there, and I find him to be an interesting pivot to Harden with just how Harden's looked lately. But logically, I feel like it's a night to go back to Harden rather than try to capture Lillard's heater. But again, an emotional night at Staples, and Dame's Instagram certainly indicates that he might want to push the tempo one more time here. How are you feeling about Dame?
I expected to like him a lot earlier today. He has fallen for me. So right now I'm projecting like a 10, 11% on both FanDuel and DraftKings. He's just not someone I'm getting to with any volume. trying to figure out, like, I've got more Russ on FanDuel than I was expecting. I've got some Kyle Lowry and Eric Bledsoe in the mid tier, but I just have, like, for FanDuel, I've got 75% Jalen Brunson. So I've only got 125% left to spread out to every other point guard on a 7-game slate. And then on DraftKings, if I'm looking around just in his price range, I have tons of LeBron. I'm over the field on Russ. I'm over the field on Jokic and Drummond. Lillard's just sort of getting pinched out there. Zach Lavine is probably the biggest benefactor to that. 8,500 on DraftKings. He's a guy that I'm like more than double the field on.
Yeah, I think Dame's price is one of those things where, as a DFS player and as somebody who does this like us, and Alex kind of said as much on the deeper dive as well, where, you know, the price is still up for Dame, and Adam, same thing, where it's like the price is up for him. It's not where it normally should be. Dame always has the ability to put up these ceiling games, but the usage has been there for him. He's also shot unsustainably well while he's been on this run. I think I'm just willing to ride it out one more day, and if it sucks today, if Lillard kind of goes back, you know, even if he goes back to 45 fantasy points or something, I would be bummed. I think especially with Melo out, that usage that should be there a little bit more for him. But price-wise, like, Harden's so cheap and Westbrook has been so good too at a similar price point. I think it's hard to get to Lillard intellectually, but my heart's there, so I'm playing some Lillard anyway. Let's go to the Pistons, because you did say Drummond is one of your guys. What's jumping out to you about Drummond?
That's a great question. He's basically the opposite of Lillard in that I never expected to get to him, and now I am. So let me just make sure that I don't have his rates as something that, like, are freaking me out here. Yeah, I'm fine with that. 9,600 on FanDuel is just sort of a bargain. Oddly enough, he's still, like, he hasn't been playing well, but he's still at 1.38 FanDuel points per minute over his last 30 days. That's barely off what I have him in from my model perspective. And with those rates, given everyone else's salary, I think it's a little bit easier to pay up to him now that we have, let's just say, Solomon Hill, Daniel House, Dorian Finney-Smith, Trevor Ariza. These are all just small forwards that are cheap. Kyle Anderson at 3,600. DeLon Wright, Jalen Brunson, Monty Morris, DeAnthony Melton, if you're me. There's enough value out there now where it's a little bit easier to pay up. So I like the idea of getting to Drummond because he's 10% owned. And there's not, like, to me, it's a 4-center slate, depending on how you feel about Steven Adams, which I'm not entirely confident in his minutes. I have to get a lot of somebody. And instead of just sort of like spreading it out, I'm taking a bet on Andre Drummond. On DraftKings, I have no concept of where I have him right now, so let me look that up. We're projecting him for 9%. I have 17. So similar story.
Yeah, you know, he's always a guy where he's just, when he gets completely overlooked, certainly a situation that he can excel. And, you know, going against Ibaka, he does have a pretty big size advantage going against Serge, you know, for whatever Marc Gasol's failings are, not the most laterally quick. He does a good job against these guys who are behemoths in the middle. And you've seen that with Joel Embiid, most notably in the playoffs last year, but also just in general. You know, I think going against Ibaka, he's got some pretty big advantages. So I don't mind it. I know you're not going to like this guy, but he's been one of the guys who've been playing, and I've been happy with the results, especially the last time out. Reggie Jackson, I still find interesting at his price point, and it's been a limited sample size for him this year, but 1.2 fantasy points per minute on the year, and the usage has been there for him since he come back to the lineup. About 30% usage in every game. Minutes are creeping up as well to the mid-20s. Could, you know, maybe gets 26, 27 today. I like Reggie in this spot because I think it's still going to see a lot of attention going to Derrick Rose when he's in the lineup. Their minutes are staggered away enough where Jackson can have some upside. How do you feel about Reggie? Is he somebody on your radar at all?
Something is going on with my Reggie Jackson projection in particular. It's showing as 0 on DK, but not on FanDuel. So ultimately, like I'm not all that interested. I deleted his usage. Okay. Fair enough.
Give him 31. Give him 31.
Lugnut fixed it. I don't have a ton of interest, but he's also a absolutely perfect GPP play. 4,800. Look, if they decide to boost his minutes and he gets to 30 or something in a game, he's been crazy as of late, sub 5K, only needs 40 on DraftKings at that price range. You would never be surprised to see that. I like it if he's like very low owned. I'm not going to have him today, but I'm not like against you for that one.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, I don't think the Clarkson analogy yesterday is the best one because, Reggie's been starting and Clarkson was getting a weaker second unit there. But I do think he's kind of the similar player where if he's cheap enough, and not that you need value tonight, but I do think with some of the lineup constructions where if I want to get to LeBron and I want to get to either Dame or Harden, that is one concession I was willing to make was get to Reggie because I think he has the upside here. Toronto's certainly not the best matchup, but also on a road back-to-back for them. So, a little bit weaker defensively, I think is a spot where Reggie can take advantage. And I just been impressed by him, just, an eye test thing. And then the data does back it out. Reggie's the guy where, certainly can turn around. He is Reggie Jackson. He's disappointed us many times over the years.
Yeah.
Still a guy that I'm willing to take that stab on.
By the way, DFS fast picks. I appreciate you understanding what I just said. Thank you very much.
Tim Hardaway officially playing today. He's a guy we didn't mention, I guess, with our Mavs stuff too much, but he has been one of the higher usage guys with Luka out. 6K on DraftKings. I'm not trying to take that leap of faith with him as much as I am with Kristaps. How do you feel about Hardaway? Is he somebody on your radar?
So not on DraftKings. That is a terrible price tag for him. However, on FanDuel, he's priced at 4,300. That is a little bit different. Now, I liked him a lot earlier today, but when I started digging in, I'm not entirely confident he picks up like massive minutes, so I only have him in for 30. He's going to be a guy that I have, but not the guy that I'm just absolutely smashing, which is what I was expecting earlier today when I had him at 32.
Okay, yeah. No, I think that's fair. That's certainly a better price point on him, and I think I'd be willing to take that stab as well. I feel like he has a decent multiplier in Super Draft as well, but I might be thinking of Porzingis. Let me just take a quick look there.
Those two guys are pretty comparable in visual stature.
Just more of the being Mavericks teammates thing. But no, Porzingis, he does have a better multiplier than Porzingis, but Porzingis looks like much more of a smash play on Super Draft. Also, one quick update again. I'm just going to treat this like a marathon, or not a marathon, a telethon, where we have a little, imagine a thermometer behind me telling you what's going on. For Super Draft's big tournament right now, still only 850 entries out of 1,700. And again, $3,500 up top on there. Take advantage of it because this one overlays is going to be a really big chance of you winning money. But also if it doesn't overlay, still a really good prize on top for a tournament with 1,700 people. So go check it out right now, superdraft.io. Use the promo code OSMO when you sign up. When you sign up, there'll be a little field there. Otherwise, you could miss it. But use the promo code OSMO to get $20 free with your deposit of $100 or more. Do that right now. And the Twitter giveaway as well on @OsmoNFL, only at 4820 right now. So we need 180 more signups. We have almost 3,000 people watching this right now. So go to @OsmoNFL right now. If you want the biggest giveaway we've had some big giveaways. So this one, I don't even know what they're doing, but it's probably really big if we're billing it as the biggest ever. Go follow them right now. And if you get to 5K, they'll be our biggest giveaway ever on there. So you just need 180 more followers to go do that. So just 180 of you and your best friends, go follow @OsmoNFL right now. Got a super chat here from Darren Unger. We appreciate the super chats. He's got an either or question for FanDuel Cash. Would you go Morant and Crowder or Kyrie and Solomon Hill for FanDuel Cash?
Morant and Crowder?
Yep.
Or Kyrie and Hill?
Yep.
Morant and Crowder.
Oh, poor Solomon. But I would agree on that. I would agree on FanDuel for that one.
Yeah.
Anthony Torres saying ranked fave guard and big pay up options on DK. I won't rank fave guard. My big pay up options are LeBron, Harden, and Lillard. I think those are the guys, and they are all guards on DK. Those are the ones I'm paying up for the most. Do you feel any differently about your pay up guard options on DK?
LeBron, Westbrook, Harden for me. And then favorite guard is probably Zach Lavine relative to where the field is.
So the Zach Lavine thing, I feel like we should talk about this more because Osmo also mentioned him as a guy that he was looking at tonight. And, we were willing to pay the elevated price for Zach Lavine, and he did not come through when that price was up. But he's in the mix, technically a pace up against Brooklyn, though they have decent wing defenders. How are you feeling about Lavine? I guess what's jumping out to you besides the fact that his price is now down on DraftKings? He's down almost 1,100 from where he was pretty much just a few days ago.
Yeah, just a massive usage rate, a guy that's permanently looking for his own shot. Games should, in theory, stay close, at least based on where we see the line right now. I like his price clear across the industry. I'd say DraftKings is my least favorite spot, and I'm still getting him there, but I like him on FanDuel. I think Fantasy Draft has him at 15.3. That is more than okay. I don't have any issue at all paying $40 for him on Yahoo either.
We got some questions built up in the premium Slack, which we should burn through.
Yeah.
Just want to make sure we get everybody taken care of on there. And of course, again, if you want to be a part of the premium Slack, either use the promo code LIV for 30 days for $54. That deal is going on for 2 more days, our Super Bowl deal, or use the promo code Live Before Lock for half off your first week, because that's how you get access to the premium Slack. And again, all day in there, people talking DFS, sharing their own views on the slate, some of which are terrible, but a lot of which are also very good. So I should have said the good one first because that would have been a better compliment sandwich. That's my bad, premium Slack.
Wouldn't have been true if you led with it, though.
That's also fair. I mean, look, there are some guys in there you'll find out real fast. There's some guys in there who are very smart, very funny guys. I like Elusive Smoke, always one of my favorites. Miles, I'll name a couple of you. Dave and his terrible food, I always enjoy them. But there are smart people on there, and either way, they're talking about DFS. And if you're watching this, you care as much about DFS as they do. Don't Embiid my status, asking Jarrett Allen Love on FanDuel. Do you have any for him today? I don't believe he was part of your final 4 of centers.
I have no love for you right now for naming Miles in that group. Ugh.
I love. He's smart. He's like a little bit of a edge to him. I mean, some could say arrogance, but he's definitely growing on me. I think once you get past the brusqueness, I feel like he's got some charm.
Thumbs down to everyone. Thumbs down. What was the question?
Jarrett Allen Love on FanDuel. Any of them?
I don't believe so, but let me double check. Not a name that I remember seeing. I had 0% on my last crunch.
Yeah, I feel like that's one of those plays, like a very strong DVP play center-wise. Going against the Bulls has been a really good center spot. And that is one that actually does have some value. Wing DVP numbers generally don't. Backcourt DVP numbers, not so much. A little bit for point guard sometimes, but for center though, that's definitely the most accurate one I feel like you can find. So I get it. I just don't think his price on DraftKings is that appealing to me. So he was not a guy who was part of my process today.
Dude, I'm getting a lot of Kyle Anderson right now on DraftKings, and that does not appear to be very popular.
No, I mean, if he's starting, I mean, he's probably the play, especially over Solomon Hill. But Brandon Clark also officially ruled out. Daniel Gafford ruled out. And your boy D'Anthony Melton remains a game-time decision with his hand issues.
Yeah, that one's scaring me. Cantor 33, you have the right to be angry.
Why does Cantor 33 have the right to be angry? What did he do?
Because you chose Miles and Dave over him.
No, but Cantor's a YouTube guy. He's not in the premium Slack, is he?
Yes, he certainly is.
Oh, I always see Cantor. Cantor's one of my favorite YouTube guys. Like, I have a lot of guys. I can't name everybody. Like, geez. You can tell I'm ditzy because of my pigtails.
You can name the good one.
That was honestly, Elusive Smoke, though, is one of my favorites because he's funny, but he's actually really sharp with DFS. So he's my MVP. Elusive Smoke, you get the specialist shout out.
We also certainly missed a legend to us. T. McBee.
Ooh. Oh, T. McBee. Oh, yeah. I mean, look, that's why you can't list them off. And I got a little too ambitious of trying to promote the premium Slack.
T. McBee's an OG.
T. McBee is one of the best. And he even has his own emoji with his trademark emoji, which he likes to dole out, which whenever I get one on one of my videos or one of my posts, I'm like, thanks, T. McBee. You got my back. So
what up,
that's
Terry?
wrong. I made some mistakes. Morgan Smith asking Kyle Kuzma thoughts on DK. You were playing Kyle Anderson, but another Kyle who's really value priced on DraftKings. I could see getting there, but I did not.
I accidentally had a ton of him earlier. I fixed that problem. I don't have any Kuzma right now. It was interesting to me if Anthony Davis was out. Now that he's not.
That's fair. Yeah, Kyle Kuzma, I get it. I think a lot of the Mavericks, a lot of the Lakers secondary pieces there are well priced. I mean, Kuzma's down, Kentavious Caldwell-Pope is down, Danny Green's down, even JaVale's down. Conceptually, I get it from value perspective, and they are going against Portland, who's one of the worst defensively rated teams on the slate. Still not one. What's the whistle?
Check Super Chat.
Oh, Justin Swearingen. There we go. Justin, one of our guys, just because I guess, will people bribe us to make my top list? That could be a part of it. The shout out Justin Swearingen, $100 super chat. We appreciate it. Premium Slack. Let's represent best content out there. Thanks, guys. Look, I like the YouTube chat too. I check both equally, but if you want like nuanced takes of people who are very sharp, the Premium Slack is definitely where it's at every day.
For sure.
Any thoughts on JJ Reddick for you? We talked about a lot of New Orleans guys. He's not on my radar. He's also sharing a lot of court time with Zion, which is not going to end well for JJ usage wise.
He is not on my radar.
Yeah. Let's see. Is it crazy to fade Joe Val on DraftKings at a 20 max tournament?
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, like, how much are we talking for a fade? Like, are we saying fade in terms of being under the field? Like, if we're going 40% Joe Val or 30% Joe Val, I think that's fine.
I took that as straight 0 in that particular question because of saying that it was a 20 max. At which point, yes, I think that that's crazy.
Yeah, for 20 lineups, I would certainly land there because he's landing in pretty much everything, that I crunched out of 500. So yeah, you can get away from it if you want. I think doing it at all of them would be a little bit risky, but hey, so victory goes to the brave, my friend, Nariki. Favorite Mavs in order. We talked about this, but people tuning in late. For me, it's Jalen Brunson, Kristaps. I actually put those two pretty close. And then everybody else kind of beneath it. Tim Hardaway, we talked about it, not getting to him on DraftKings. Don't mind some stabs at Dillon Wright, but really for me, it's very much the Brunson and Porzingis show. Josh, if you had to rate your Mavs, let's say on FanDuel specifically, who would they be?
Mavs on FanDuel specifically would be Jalen Brunson, Kristaps Porzingis, Tim Hardaway, Dillon Wright. It gets really murky after that. Jalen Brunson and Kristaps Porzingis. It goes Jalen Brunson, then a pretty steep drop to Kristaps Porzingis, then a very steep drop to the rest of those guys.
Oh man, I'm now seeing my notifications on the Slack. I left out a lot. I left out El Negro Loco. I left out.
You did.
And he's the news guy. I left out Johnny Stack, who's actually got the most memorable name for me. Look, I made some mistakes, guys.
Yeah.
I have a lot of love in my heart to give. Have no fear. There's also a photo of your face after I said Miles, which is pretty funny if you can see that one.
Apologies to El Negro Wojo, our resident newsbreaker.
It's just shout out day here. It's a good vibe. So guys, hit the like button. As you might guess, it is a community here. We do pay attention to everything you guys are saying in both the premium Slack and the actual YouTube. And we appreciate the support and just the positivity in general. Been a long day for old Joshy and myself doing many content pieces today. So we appreciate the positivity and the support as always. Let's see. Strixteen71. I honestly have no clue who you are, man. That's the one guy. Sorry. DA24, you're good. Jay Walker, you're good. Talk about Tucker with him at center. So I'm intrigued by PJ Tucker more. He projects decently enough than I think most people will feel. Really don't love playing PJ Tucker ever, but on a night where he's not chalk and there's other value and places to go, and he is starting at center again, and he's been rebounding better at about a 20% rebound rate without Capella on the floor. I don't mind Tucker today. How do you feel about old PJ?
Play him on days where he's not owned, avoid him on days when he is. That's like, he's the same guy every day. I don't have any like crazy hot PJ Tucker takes. If he's not getting ownership, feel free to have 5 to 10% of him.
Yeah, today he's under 10%. I'm at 20. I don't mind it. I think he's getting the center minutes. I think he's got dual position eligibility on DraftKings. I'm not enthralled. I'm not enthralled by it, but he's
Thon McCurr starting at the 4 for the Pistons. I love when they do this.
So Sekou probably is going down to the G League then.
I mean, this is the second time in a week where I've had him projected for no minutes. Alex has projected him for no minutes, and he's been ruled the starter.
And also Snell is starting too, so that's a fun group. Snell and McCurr. All right.
I wonder.
They'll be long enough to hang with Toronto. Like that's kind of an interesting matchup with Siakam, like in terms of just body types and length. But yeah, I guess
Thon McCurr is everything the Bucks wanted Pascal Siakam to be. Or no, flip that. Pascal Siakam is everything the Bucks wanted Thon McCurr to be.
Yeah, no, that's a pretty good take, and it probably still feel the same way about Dragon Mender right now, which has not worked out well for them thus far. Snell, would you have any interest in Snell or McCurr now that you know they're starting?
No.
Okay, just want to confirm. Let's see. Got a super chat from our guy Dave. Dave, appreciating the shout out. Apparently not enough. Said Josh Engelman is the GOAT, number 24. Hit that like button. All right, Dave, you didn't get the shout out from Josh, so sorry, Dave.
Dave would not get that shout out from me, and he knows it.
It's probably why. He probably just appreciates you so much for playing hard to get.
I would give the money back if I could.
Also, we just got an ownership update. Our guy Makad points out another one who I forgot. This is the issue. I'll never name people again on the show. I swear to God.
Melton in.
Wait, who's in?
Melton is in.
Oh, there we go. The Josh play of the day. You want to give him the Josh stamp of approval where you put your face on a graphic and then it appears on the screen?
Yeah. Well, now I'm nervous about it. There's enough time for him to
because
get
he's in. You're nervous about it?
Yeah. I didn't want him to come in until later.
So he's going to get real chalky now. Everybody's going to be swarming to D'Anthony Melton.
No, but I just
Maybe.
I wanted him to be fully unowned, not 5% owned.
That is fair. That is fair. Selfish boy. Selfish boy.
That's me.
We haven't touched on some of these things, and some guys you mentioned earlier. We wanted to get some questions out of the way because I got to make sure the Slack's taken care of, and they've been coming through with a lot of questions today. We'll jump back later for some of the either ors and the questions that are left there. So keep queuing them up for me if you want to put them in there. I guess on the slate, is there a game that we haven't touched on yet that you find important? I feel like we kind of glazed over the Steven Adams part of Oklahoma City. That's certainly one part. Ricky Rubio earlier today projected to be chalk, which I was very out on. Now he's not chalky, so I feel like that's less relevant, but still a decent price industry-wide, even though his role is pretty much evaporated. Denver and Milwaukee as well. With Giannis back in there, I feel like Milwaukee is now priced for Giannis being out of the lineup, and that's not a spot I'm getting to. But anything on the slate we haven't hit on that you find particularly important for your lineups?
I don't think so. We've got these games with the Pelicans having a total of 240 plus. The Rockets and Mavs are at 236. And then we get stuff like Suns Thunder at 222. Brooklyn Nets and Bulls 222. Pistons Raptors 223. These are just wildly different DFS games. That's not to say that those games can't go well, but concentrating ownership into some of these higher projected teams just makes a lot of sense to me today. I guess I would say that if anything stood out to me, Portland is probably going a little more underrepresented than I would have expected. They're losing a lot of shots with Melo out of the lineup, and they're going to go somewhere, obviously. Where they go, I think, is very interesting. If it's just Dame and he has a bad shooting day, sure. Does CJ just soak that up now with Melo gone? He's barely getting any ownership. Hassan Whiteside's not like a guy that shoots a lot. You kind of know what you're getting out of a center, but does Ariza shoot more? Does Gary Trent start firing? I doubt it. All of these guys project to have super low usage rates. I just want to know where the Melo shots go.
Yeah, I agree. And it seems like you just give a little bit more to each of the guys, and McCollum and Lillard both have their own minutes with Carmelo on the floor that they can pick up a decent amount there. And, that certainly adds a little bit of credence to what we talked about earlier with Lillard. If you can keep this heater going, having Melo's, how many shots per game is he taking? He's taking 14 shots a game. Yeah. So getting those out of the lineup probably going to give a little bit more to Lillard. So yeah, I think that's how I would read it. I guess one Blazer who there is a question about, Andrew Mock, one of our YouTube guys, asking about Trevor Ariza. On FanDuel, he's at a much more appealing price. How are you feeling about Ariza today? Is he a pivot to some of the other chalk guys who talked about the Tim Hardaways, perhaps? Would you want him in your lineups?
Yeah, I have more than 20% on FanDuel as of right now. I think he's a pretty tasty. You guys can drink for the Josh drinking game right now. I said tasty. I spelled that with an EE, from Orange is the New Black. So just putting that out there.
I'm with you on that reference.
Big fan.
She had a tough run.
She did. We'll talk about this later. I'm trying to I have a lot less interest in Solomon Hill and Daniel House, so Trevor Ariza is kind of my pay down option at small forward.
We got a super chat from Jack Perry. Love you, Spags. Appreciate you, Jocks. That's the way to handle it, Jack Perry. That's why you have a very cool name, and I appreciate it. Where can I buy the Ketchup and Egg shirt? I believe that's on our Teespring, which is linked beneath the video description on YouTube. I'll see if I can find a link to it because I know there's some way to link it.
I don't know if it's there. Stay tuned for the strategy show on Monday. We're going to give one up at least, maybe more.
Fucking let them buy the shirt first. It is there. It is, in fact, up on the store right now. I know because I saw it the other day and I was like, I didn't even realize we made a Ketchup and Egg shirt, but we were supposed to get merch, which we didn't get, which otherwise I'd be rocking some Ketchup and Egg shirts.
That was last Christmas.
When I gave you my heart and the very next day you gave it away?
Not 2019 either.
Well, this year, to save myself from tears, I'll give it to somebody special. Also, we have a fun little pocket t-shirt here. I don't know who designed this one, but
I assume Jake designed all of them.
Oh, maybe. Well, I designed our first run of shirts that we did, and Brett contributed some where we kind of went with the smaller logo ones. But this Osmo pocket tee is real vibrant. It looks like a cool 90s kid skateboarder shirt.
I'm excited for Eggs and Hot Sauce t-shirt.
Ketchup and eggs, ride or die.
That's not ketchup. It's hot sauce.
No, that shirt was ketchup.
No, that's hot sauce. When I put it on eggs, it's red. It looks like that.
No, but the shirt is titled Ketchup and Eggs Unite.
Well, then that's a typo.
Though I guess the way that it is laid out, that could also be hot sauce. But it's got to be real thick hot sauce. That can't be some watery hot sauce.
Oh, yeah, that's some Cholula, baby.
Cholula's the right kind of thick.
And it's vibrant and bright red-ish. Yeah. We spelled hot sauce wrong. We accidentally spelled it ketchup.
Shout out Christian, the premium Slack, bought the hoodie this morning. Yeah, go check it out. I dropped the Teespring link in the YouTube chat. So if you guys want to get any merch, got some iPhone cases, some socks, got an eclectic mix of attire here. And again, the aforementioned 90s skateboarder kid looking like Kid Vid from the BK Kids Club. If you want to go with a real dated reference that 5 people out there will get. And even you're not with me on that one, are you?
No, I'm not. And like that should be in my wheelhouse and it isn't. So that's
the Burger King Kids Club was like the inverted McDonald land where they had like it was actually pretty progressive because it was in the early 90s and they had like a Latino kid, but also not progressive because the Latino kid was named Lingo. There was a disabled kid named like Wheels. There was a girl. There was a character named Kid Vid who was real fresh and he had like VR glasses and he was keeping it real. He was keeping it real.
I am going to have to look into that, I guess.
Oh, you will. I watched Hot Ones. You can look up the Burger King Kids Club.
Yeah.
It's a great crew. It's a great squad.
Margot Robbie on Hot Ones coming up.
Oh, I have to catch up. I've been behind on it, but there have been a couple episodes. So the last one I watched was Idris Elba, which was also really good.
Okay, so you've missed the rest of that season. They've been on break and the new season is about to start.
They add up fast. They are very prolific to their credit for the Hot Ones guys. McKinsey MC saying DK tournament 4,500 utility left. Jay Crowder or OG Anunoby or Finney Smith or someone else.
Jay Crowder.
Yeah, it's Crowder. I'm not going to worry about someone else, but I think Crowder would be the guy of that group.
Yeah, just play Jay Crowder.
Thoughts on Giannis tonight? A guy that we haven't talked about much. Is he a viable pivot from LeBron? On DraftKings, the prices are much cheaper for LeBron. I would take the guy in the easier matchup. But, for tournaments, I get why you would think that. I don't hate the approach. Just I'm personally going with LeBron.
I have a little bit of him on FanDuel. I don't get the sense that I'm going to have any on DraftKings. I can't imagine that I do, but I'll at least double check. I had 7% before, so I'm just primarily on LeBron.
EMAC in the chat. Spags is my fave. Thanks, EMAC. That's why you're my old pal. I appreciate it. I'll take the compliments wherever they can come from. We also got a super chat here from Andrew Montague for $8. Thank you, Andrew. Also, fun spelling of Andrew there. Got the kind of Andrew Jones-ish, but no W. Intriguing. Reddick or Melton for a DK GPP? Josh, who would it be?
Oh, that is for sure DeAnthony Melton.
Yeah, it's got to be Melton. He's
going to be on fire. The rim is going to be melting when the hot ball goes through.
It's honestly, I don't know. Melton's a good play in this kind of game. Like that's kind of why I don't mind Solomon Hill. There's a lot of pace. Guys who get peripherals can get a lot of peripherals, and that's what Melton does. And he does shoot enough, like certainly more than Solomon Hill. So I think that's an intriguing play. For Johnny Stack, Jokic and Barton or SGA and Lavine for DK cash? Who would you pick? I would go SGA and Lavine, but SGA is not going to be too owned.
Jokic and Barton?
Yeah.
SGA and Lavine. Probably SGA and Lavine. I don't know. I would probably be looking at someone other than SGA, but I don't know who that would be. Maybe CJ McCollum instead.
Oh yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, I agree. McCollum and Lavine would be probably a little safer. I do think Barton's an interesting tournament play just because he's the kind of guy who Milwaukee will let chuck up threes with pretty much willy-nilly. He's not a good three-point shooter, and he'll be on the court, and he also can pick up some rebounds with how Milwaukee spaces the floor. So I think Barton's sneaky for tournaments, but for cash, I just wouldn't be inclined to go there.
Would that be willy-nilly Barton?
Yeah, classic willy-nilly Barton. Mix them all together. Can we get some deep V-necks? LL Cool Jeff is asking for the store. We should. I agree. I like a good deep V-neck. So if our merch people are listening, people disagreeing with ketchup and eggs. Look, ketchup goes well with eggs. I agree. Great vessel for eggs. Booker and SGA or Lavine and Van Vliet for a DK GPP.
Run that by me again. I started
Booker,
typing and I actually just couldn't hear you.
Booker and SGA or Lavine and Van Vliet for a GPP. I would go Booker and SGA for a GPP.
I'm just a really big fan of Lavine today, so I'll put me on the Lavine side. Oh, that's a lot of Thad Young. Yikes.
Eric B. Moon was the girl's name in the BK Kids Club. Boomer. It was, in fact, because she was a sporty girl. So she was very much a boomer. Very much okay boomer is what you could say to her. FanDuel cash. Would you go Bledsoe and Brooks or Ja Morant and Wright?
Bledsoe and Brooks.
Yeah, I don't really have a lean on that one, but so I would just go Josh's way. Let's see. Any other either ors here? Anything else good that I missed in the Slack? I think we got everything in the Slack. Oh, Slow-Mo or Ilyasova last in a GPP for DK. That's definitely Slow-Mo today.
Yes, absolutely slow-mo there.
Yeah, it's not Ilyasova day. Ilyasova days you will know when Giannis is out. Otherwise, he's really not worth much exposure, especially against Denver. Let's see if there's anything else good here. Oh, people asking about Josh Jackson. Did you get any of these, any Josh Jackson in your lineups today, given that he's minimum priced and did see some minutes last game, and Mark George being out, not a guy that people care much about often, but he should open up about 15 to 20 minutes, depending upon how things look. How are you feeling, if anything, about Josh Jackson?
Not interested. Don't really know how those minutes go. They can give them to Yuta Watanabe. They can give them to John Conchar. It's just, there's too much variance there for me. Wouldn't be like if he played 20 minutes, that would not shock me. This would be the type of place where you would want to showcase him, but I don't feel comfortable projecting something like that.
I put him in a couple of lineups, not literally a couple, like a pair of lineups. And just because I had so much Solomon Hill, like a possible chump if he's not starting. But I think that Josh Jackson, certainly has the upside to get there. We'll have a game again in New Orleans that's going to give him a chance to do Josh Jackson-y things. But he has been out of the rotation and he is not in the best shape. And they seem like they want to bring him along slow. Hard to see him getting more than 20 for sure, but probably more in the area of 15 to 17, one would think. People asking about Thon McCurr again, and I know we talked about him, but Thon McCurr at his price would just to cover your bases again. Would you have any Thon McCurr starting at near minimum prices on DraftKings in particular?
I would not have any.
Yeah, not the dude for me in this matchup either. But yeah, I got it. I mean, look, same thing for me as Josh Jackson. If you wanted to put him in two lineups out of 50 to 150, sure. But besides that, I don't see the reason to get there.
No.
See, Manny C or Main C. Thank you for all you do at Osmo, guys. After ketchup and eggs, Osmo is king. So still team ketchup and eggs, but a nice compliment, and we appreciate it.
No.
Let's see,
no ketchup and eggs.
I feel like you're real. I didn't see the initial argument, but ketchup doesn't take anything away. It might not add value, but it never takes anything away.
No, it completely overpowers eggs.
What do you need? The delicious flavors of eggs to resonate in your mouth?
Yes. When eggs are cooked correctly, they're delicious. You guys are eating crappy eggs, apparently.
I like a good French omelet, but it's still not like I'm like, ooh, the flavor of these eggs. The same thing with like hot dogs. If people were like, oh, you can't put ketchup on a hot dog. Like, yeah, really want to savor the hog anuses and rat corpses
that's absolutely true. You can't put ketchup on a hot dog. That's a mustard. That's the only condiment. What are we doing here? I'm telling people how to eat.
This just immediately gets your goat in a way that I really appreciate.
Guys,
I get why Lofty has done this to you so many times. That's why Lofty's the best.
So poorly.
I ketchup on like a nice steak. No. Ketchup on a bad steak. Fine. Ketchup on eggs.
No ketchup on steaks. What are you, the president of the United States?
Someday. I can run this year. I can run this term actually, because I did turn 35. So you can run soon too, right? Or you haven't turned 35 yet?
I will be turning that in 12 days.
That's right. I knew yours is coming up soon. So yeah, we can put together a ticket here. The Osmo ticket. We can do it. Yeah,
I have a sneaky suspicion they're not going to like my background check.
I think we'd be the keeping it real ticket. Talking kids club and ketchup and eggs.
I think that would be when keeping it real went wrong.
Eric B. Moon asking, do we think Bradley guards Dame or CJ tonight? I'm sure he'll see a mix of both.
People don't guard anybody anymore.
Yeah, that's not. I don't think that's. one-on-one guarding is not the thing. Schematic guarding you can worry about, but it's still not something I would worry about with Avery Bradley.
Josh Engelman eats pizza rolls, but we eat poorly. Josh Engelman ate pizza rolls as a gimmick on this show. I've had them.
You do it in your personal life too.
I have not eaten. I've eaten them one time since that show. Once. It's like if your dad finds your cigarettes as a kid. I smoked the whole pack and now I'm not interested.
We might have actually turned the corner for you because you had that healthy stretch too. So maybe that was it. Was just dying on the vine.
It made me want to lose weight. I felt horrible. I think that most of those pizza bites are still in my arteries.
Yeah, no, that's fair.
I almost disowned my 4-year-old for putting ketchup on a dog, Sean McCarthy. Sean McCarthy knows what's up.
I like the 4-year-old better. I like fresh progressive ideas for the next generation. Sir Dave Spags probably takes the cap off of ketchup and puts a lime in it like a Corona. As you know, I am a discerning taste with my flavors that I like to drink. So that's not accurate. But I honestly, yeah, I'd err on the side of more ketchup than less sometimes. Sometimes you got to do it, like especially with like slow cooker meals I've had where perhaps I didn't get the flavor profile quite correctly. I'll load up on some ketchup. Really covered everything. I feel like there's nothing on the slate that we haven't covered that's important. Got all the premium Slack questions. Check in the YouTube chat. If you guys have any last minute questions, get them in. Ariza or Crowder? I assume that's actually, that could be a question on both sites. I would go Crowder, but how do you feel?
I would go Crowder as well.
Let's see. Gary Trent Jr. is a lock. That's got to be a troll. Unless there's something about Gary Trent Jr. that I don't know.
He's not in my lineups.
It's like, oh, Gary Trent Jr. is Kobe's godson. You're like, oh, well, screw that one up.
I don't know.
And by the way, guys, if you are about to tune out, make sure you are not doing that because we're going another half hour for Super Draft. So it's going to get real silly there. But again, check out Super Draft right now if you've gotten your lineups in, which you should because you have mere minutes left, mere seconds by the time you hear this with all the advanced telecommunications devices we have here. But Super Draft locks tonight at 7:30 p.m. So we're going the extra half hour. We're basically just going to be giving you Osmos projections for Super Draft for free. But go check them out right now. Actually, let me see where the tournament is. Believe they're at 99 or 994 out of 1,700 on Super Draft. So get in there. That's a lot of overlay for a tournament with 3,500 up top. Only 1,700 entries and 994 people have gotten in. So just get in there. It's $12 tournament. And again, it locks in 30 minutes. So you're not missing anything here. We will basically just give you the picks to play it. Didn't work out last time with Isaiah Hartenstein. but today it is. Today it's going to feel good. So just get in there now, superdraft.io, and use the promo code Osmo. And really, like I said this yesterday, like legitimately just an actual appeal. This isn't a plug. Just take advantage of this stuff when you can. We're doing it because they are a marketing partner of the site, but it also really behooves you to get on there right now. Go to superdraft.io, take the advantage of the $20 we're giving you there. Take advantage of the overlay that's currently in that tournament. We're probably not going to be able to fill it in the next half hour. Just do that. Smart for your bankroll, and you'll get yourself a better shot to win.
We're going to fill that bad boy.
Yeah. I mean, I hope so. We got 5 more people that came in while I was shilling. So I think we can take credit for at least 4 of those, I think.
I'm going to start calling you Kurt with how much you're shilling.
And for my inability to develop a video game. Those 2 things equally. And also I regularly feign blood on things just to look more impressive.
Yeah, he has fallen from grace a bit.
He has, but he'll never, Boston people will never forget. We'll never forget.
Yep.
All right, so we are locked for the main slate. Should we even do a quick round of Daddy Lex? We got to fill a half hour.
Your world, man.
We'll do a quick round of Daddy Lex. We'll see what's up. But the plugs one last time here because we are going to do the Super Draft half hour. So you want to hang out with us? Trust me, it'll probably get silly here. It's Friday. We are at the end of our weeks, and we got a half hour to fill. So hang out with us. But really, right now, get it on Super Draft. Play the lineups on there at superdraft.io or Superdraft in the App Store and use the promo code OSMO to get $20 with your deposit of $100 or more. And last call to go to Osmo NFL. You can do it this weekend, but really make sure we hit 5K followers before this weekend. So if you were holding off because you're too busy, too focused building your lineups, get in there right now on @Osmo NFL. We hit 5K followers on there. There will be the biggest giveaway we've ever had on any of our Twitter handles. And right now we are about 150 people short. So come on, what are we doing? What do I have to do? Do I have to beg? I'm not gonna. If you want me to beg, I'm not gonna beg. But just do it. Do it for the giveaway. Do it for the team.
Do it for the gram.
Do it for the gram. Yes, Instagram yourself doing it. And if you do, I'm sure you'll get many likes because that's people want to see you entering contests on your Instagram. That's generally the most fun way. All right. We'll do a quick round of daddy likes here, and then we'll move on to the super draft portion of the show. Oh, Reggie Jackson at 8%. Love it. Love it. I'll die alone on Reggie Jackson tonight. Where did this go? Come on, come back. All right. I'll guess the first guy, Josh, because that's always there's actually only one game locked right now, and I just gave you the guy.
I didn't hear it.
Top owned guy, Reggie Jackson at 8% in this Detroit and Toronto game.
Really?
Yep.
So you are now on the chalk play of Pistons Raptors, and you're like patting yourself on the back for that bad boy. Yeah. Okay.
Well, when you can get 8% Reggie Jackson, you got to do it.
Wow. I can't. He is more owned than Andre Drummond, huh?
Oh, by a decent margin.
More owned than Serge Ibaka, even at 6,900.
Yeah, which is usually a nice price, but when you get Reggie at 48, how could you not? Number 2 is Pascal Siakam at 5.8%. I would like that. That's also a pretty nice little number.
Let me look at my DraftKings exposures just to see how much I got of this game. I have 16% Lowry, 12% Ibaka, 11% Van Vliet.
So you are above the field on all those guys because Ibaka's at 5.2%.
I'm above the field on all of those guys because the guy that was highest was Reggie Jackson, and that number was lower than all of those numbers.
I know you would know that, but I felt like as a host, I had to search. But you are correct.
How owned was Reggie Jackson?
He is 7.5.
Okay, I have 6%. So.
Oh, you go. You're with the field.
Yeah.
Team Reggie. Mr. October.
A couple shares of Drummond, like 3 shares of Siakam, and that's it.
We'll burn through the rest of these. Andre Drummond, 3.6. Kyle Lowry, 3.5. Christian Wood, 2.8. Thon McCurd, 2.6. Fred Van Vliet down at 1.8%. Tough day for the FEV club and our old pal Emac. But actually maybe a great day. Derrick Rose, man, people do not want to pay the price up for Derrick Rose, 1.6%. OG Anunoby, 1.5. Norman Powell, 1.3. Svi Mikhailiuk still hanging in there at 1%. Bruce Brown, 0.8. Markieff Morris, a guy who we want a Kobe narrative. Markieff Morris changed his jersey number, 0.8%. Toby Snell, Tony Snell, 0.6%. That's a fun name. Chris Boucher, 0.5%. Sekou Doumbouya down at 0.2. We'll see if he even plays. Langston Galloway, 0.2. Terrence Davis, 0.1. Patrick McCaw, 0.05. And that's it. Nobody played themselves.
Not going to be finding Josh Engelman at the top of any contest for that 7:00 game. That's for sure.
No, unfortunately not. Though, I mean, honestly, your ownership was right in line with many of those guys.
Yeah.
Not a lot of love for old Detroit Toronto today.
Don't really have that game stack.
So super draft, let me do a quick little refresh on our Osmo projections, which again, if you want to play with us, play along with us. And
what in the world are the Mavs doing? Barea, Brokoff, Hardaway Jr., Finney-Smith, Porzingis is the starting lineup. Oh my God. Ryan Brokoff, I thought had a broken leg.
That feels like a troll. Well, that screws up the Jalen Brunson, huh? Glad we're on the air for another half hour.
Come on, man.
Would you have less Jalen Brunson? I mean, like now Dillon and Brunson are in the same unit.
Who cares about Dillon Wright, man? Do you play JJ Barea now?
I mean, he could easily just play still 15 minutes and be done, but I think you have to have some Barea. Unreal. I have so much Brunson today.
I didn't know Ryan Brokoff was available. Has he been in a game? Because this could just be on me. Did he just come back? Okay, so he played on Tuesday for the first time. Yeah. Okay. That makes me feel better.
He was good down the stretch last year in the old garbage time point of the year, but he played 8 minutes in that last game. He has played this year, actually. He's played no more than 20 minutes in the year.
How much? I mean, I feel like I just did this exact same awful experience with Jalen Brunson not starting.
I mean, that's like the Harkenstein and Clemens day. Like that was. Well, I feel like Jalen should have started there.
Unbelievable.
Like, I don't even get, like, what's the point? What, like, Brokoff can't defend anybody. He's coming off a fibula fracture.
I have no idea. Look, if you don't like it on DK, Jalen Brunson is 3,800. JJ Barea is 3,600. I can't honestly advocate for going to Ryan Brokoff in this scenario. I can't imagine he can play enough minutes to matter, but you can swap from Brunson to Barea in as many lineups as you would like.
Also, mentally, the game that I was just referenced with Ryan Brokoff that I felt was a pretty good game. 28.75 fantasy points in 25 minutes was that game against Golden State last year, and that is his career high in fantasy points. So,
what a world, man! What a world. Ryan Brokoff starting. I couldn't have picked that today if you gave me 1,000 guesses.
It's not my favorite. I'd be lying if I said it were my favorite, because it is not my favorite. Is Barea in play?
Yeah, absolutely. I'm about to swap off like a pretty decent chunk of my Brunson to Barea right now.
Man, what is that unit? I mean, that probably makes Porzingis a little better too. Maybe.
I don't think it really matters there. What we do need to talk about is Super Draft, where Nikola Jokic has a 1.2 multiplier. I think that he is the best play of the day there. Jonas Valanciunas a close second with a 1.45 multiplier. They are my top two plays on Super Draft pretty clearly. Zach Lavine third. Was Jalen Brunson fourth? Wah, wah. Not quite any longer.
Yeah, Jalen was, according to Osmo, still a top, let's say, 8 play, it looks like. That will certainly change now. I had Jonas as my center for Super Draft, and I feel like the projections from Osmo are pretty much on the nose there, but I would imagine that Jokic is probably lower owned, so I think that does make sense to go there. He does project for slightly more raw points than Jonas, according to Osmo's projections.
I think it's possible that we see like really limited minutes for... maybe I'm wrong. That was leading me to think that like Tim Hardaway Jr. was going to play less, but I guess I don't really have any justification for that.
Right, and always a delight in the premium Slack. Brunson was the top contender of the day. Well, that's what would happen when everybody assumed he would start when he started all the other times.
Yeah. What do you want me to do?
Yeah, we can't assign everything in terms of lineup things. I don't think there's a single, I'll make a guess. I don't think there's a single DFS analyst out there who's like, Ryan Brokoff, today's his day. I don't think that was the case. I didn't see it if it is. And if you guys have that person, feel free to just shout him out, because they're on some next level shit, or just have some great insider trading.
Evidently, this is a lot like 100 yards and a touchdown.
Little did we know. Can we get the Memphis line then, so I at least know that?
That one I don't really care about. Those dudes just have to play regardless.
I guess.
I mean, they're like... Dallas is dusting off dudes that I didn't know were going to be getting any minutes. Ryan Brokoff was not in my rotation or Alex's rotation, and I'm quite confident was not in Adam's. So if you're ever curious as to, how this stuff happens, we don't know how this happens.
I'm trying to think, is Brunson still fine?
I mean, not at his ownership that he has previously. Not even like remotely close. I am going to try to remove a decent chunk of Brunson for JJ Barea.
Well, if you want to be adventurous on Super Draft, you can also play Barea, who has a 1.95x multiplier. And JJ Barea, certainly on a permanent basis, he does jump out as a guy who's been very productive. This is a very limited sample size with Luka and Powell off, so I don't even want to go with that. Let me see if it changes with Powell on. Barea's played 16 minutes with Porzingis and Luka off this year, so that's worthless. I mean, the rates are still good for Barea. It's night to night with Luka off. Barea on the year has played 99 minutes and he averages 1.4 fantasy points per minute. So, could be a Barea smash day.
You can't just... That's not fun. Can you not shift click here, Dave?
Oh man. Sometimes, guys, when we're doing these shows and then things like this happen, especially when you're going with things and making your lineups in advance, as I try to do before the show because you got to jump around.
Well, let's talk some super draft.
Yeah, so super draft. Guys,
projections are free.
What's free?
Projections are free, by the way.
Let me see. I'll drop that link in the YouTube chat because we do have those super draft projections. There we go. All right. Link in the YouTube chat right now. So if you want to get in there and take advantage of the disastrous situations that are developing, maybe you were wanting preemptively tilt. If you played on FanDuel today, load it up on your Jalen Brunson. Now's a good time to go over to superdraft.io and check out their tournaments because I believe we still have some openings in that last one right now. And again, use the promo code AWESEMO when you sign up to make sure you get that $20 free with your deposit of $100 or more. I got 1,700 entries in the tournament. We have filled 1,206. So you still got time to get in there and still a decent chance at overlays. So just get your lineups in there, reserve them now. If you haven't verified on there, make sure to do that. But go do it right now. It's superdraft.io with the promo code AWESEMO. That's fun stuff. That's fun stuff. Other plays on super draft today. Let me just take a look.
I have my projections and everything up on the screen right now for everybody.
Yes, if you want them, you got a lot of sources now. We also just got a projections update from Awesemo mere seconds ago. So these are hot off the presses. Looks like his top projected super draft plays, which again, you can see that link in the chat. And now the top 5 for him. And tell me if you feel any differently about these guys after I read them all off. Nikola Jokic, Jonas Valanciunas, Zine Williamson, Zach Lavine, Giannis. Any of those guys not belong in the top 5 for you?
Giannis feels a little high. Run them off again for me.
It was Jokic, Jonas, Zion, Zach Lavine, and Giannis.
Okay, so 4 of those guys are in my top 5. Giannis is a bit further down.
Would you have Porzingis ahead of Giannis? Because he's just right behind when accounting for the multipliers.
I have him directly above, like one spot.
Okay, yeah. So Porzingis a 1.45x multiplier on Super Draft, which is the way that they do things there. It is not a salary. It's a multiplier up to 2x. So that is where Porzingis is. He certainly has a multiplier more reflecting when Luka's in the lineup. Same thing as the salary structure in terms of that, where he's not priced correctly for the opportunity he has without Luka. And on the same case here for Super Draft, where he is a 1.45x multiplier. He is in a good situation. Any guys at the 2x multiplier who jump out? Because the other day, actually, Dwayne Dedmon would have been a pretty strong one. And I think that was one where he was at 2x. Solomon Hill's at 2x. And as we've discussed, I don't mind him, though. It's very possible he just doesn't start again, too.
Yeah, so I have Kyle Anderson as the highest ranked guy with a 2x multiplier. I had Jalen Brunson at 1.95. That has obviously become a little bit different in the past 10 minutes. But, what are you going to do there?
Our old pal Emax saying Brunson is fine. This is about Barea, who will likely sit in Dallas tomorrow versus Atlanta. Brunson is going to play both. Brokoff is a what the F, but I don't think he gets more than 12 minutes. So that's your old pal chiming in. I would just worry that Barea gets a little bit more than we might expect because he's old, but he's still like spry. He's not like he's totally washed by any stretch.
No, I agree.
They just kind of deliberately not played him for whatever reasons.
I mean, he's just like permanently injured too. Constantly like blowing out his Achilles and stuff. Yeah.
So very possible that Brunson still gets there. Just going to be different groups now. And, Brunson could have more second unit usage, can steal some minutes from JJ down the stretch. Maybe JJ does the first half start and the second half start and then doesn't play in the second quarter. That's also a possibility. I'm probably not going to switch off a ton of Brunson because what am I going to do here? But certainly if you are making lineups for Super Draft, probably not a wise move to go to Brunson as much now because, Kyle Anderson, also a 2x multiplier on Super Draft. That could be appealing as well. Torrey Craig, a guy that some people liked yesterday. He's also a 2x multiplier. Those are some of the guys who I think would be in play on Super Draft. If you want to try to maximize your multiplier, I think those guys were in range. Maybe probably still not the best plays, not as good as the other guys we mentioned up top, but still strong ones. Anyone you have a read on who would be low owned perhaps on Super Draft that could be appealing? I think LeBron is a guy who it seems like the 1x multiplier, maybe not as valuable, but we've talked a lot about him throughout the hour. Certainly a motivated game for him. Would you want to get to LeBron or AD, given that they don't have much of a multiplier above the baseline?
Yeah, I don't have any issue there at all. LeBron is actually 7th for me. Actually, no, 6th, actually. Let me resort this now that Brunson's not there. I have LeBron 6th overall. So I'll talk a little bit about this since I did it in an office hours, but we touched on this previously. I dug into trying to figure out what the target score would be, like what you're looking for on a per roster spot basis. You get 7 spots and you can roster anybody. Based on where I have my projections and value today, I ran a crunch to find my optimal on Superdraft. And by finding that, I multiply that by 1.2 to figure out like where I think the ceiling is going to be. So as of right now, I think the target is 70 fantasy points. You're going to need 70 fantasy points from each roster spot on average to be in contention to win today's contest. Given those numbers and given your fantasy points and standard deviation, you can find out how often people are going to do that. So when I do that, Jokic is 1st, Joval is 2nd, Zach LaVine 3rd, Zion Williamson 4th. You read those names off before as Alex's top 4 plays as well, correct?
Yep.
Right after that, I have Damian Lillard at a 1.1x multiplier, and then LeBron James at a 1x, followed closely by Jamal Murray.
Yeah, so pretty close in terms of your projections and Alex's and how he has them graded out. And yeah, on Superdraft, again, you could play all these guys together. If you want to just take the studs, you can certainly do that with LeBron and his 1x multiplier. Both he and AD look fairly appealing at those at price points. You probably can't afford them too easily. I guess you can on today's slate, though. Maybe not with Jalen Brunson now. Let's see. Yeah, Jalen Brunson still projects decent value, even if you give him 25 minutes. All right. I'll live with that. Let's see. Got a question here from MC Grazza. Are you avoiding LeBron and AD in the same lineup tonight? I think on the sites, you might have a different read on it. Just give me your read first, because I wouldn't care that much, but I would be less inclined to do it on like a DraftKings than I would a Superdraft.
Sorry, I was reading the message that we just got in Premium Slack. Jackson Hayes did not make the Rising Stars team, and he had some very unflattering things to say about the NBA that I cannot repeat on this show.
Oh, the Jackson Hayes all-star stuff. just as strong as the Bradley Beal one, I'm sure.
Hit me with your question.
LeBron and AD in the same lineup. Any cause for concern? And would you maybe be okay with it on one site, but not okay on another site?
I'm fine with it either way.
Okay.
It's not like the best scenario. I wouldn't want a lot of it. I probably wouldn't land on it if it were my only lineup, but like I'm sure that I have LeBron AD lineups.
$1 million poker. Can you play both JJ and Brunson together? I would think that's fine now, though. Still a question about JJ's minutes.
You should not be playing JJ Barea and Jalen Brunson together.
Really? I feel like they're cheap enough where it wouldn't matter.
How many minutes do you think they play between the two of them?
I mean, it just depends. It depends what the rotation is with Brokoff. If Brokoff isn't playing a lot of minutes, I'm just too lazy to think otherwise right now. But I feel like combined,
I don't think there's any scenario they close together. I would not be looking to play both of those. I would pick one or the other.
That group would be defensively lacking for sure if they were a closing group. But Barea is so productive per minute, and Brunson also has been, where I feel like they can both exceed it and get to the 25 to 30-ish, which maybe not be enough for a target score, but whatever. I don't hate it as much, but I get your logic on that. Also, up to 1,300 entries almost on Superdraft. So get in there. You got 9.5 minutes left. Do it right now. Superdraft.io. Use that promo code AWESEMO to get your $20 free with your deposit of $100 or more. The jump shot there, $3,500 up top. And right now, if this doesn't fill, that $3,500 is going to get a lot easier to win. So just take advantage of it for yourself.
Play the Josh Engelman lineup. Jokic, Valanciunas, Lavine, Zion, Lillard, LeBron, and Ja Morant.
I don't think you can play Jokic and Jonas together.
That's actually true. You cannot play two centers. I keep forgetting that it's just one. So, Jokic, Lavine, Zion, Dame, LeBron, Morant, CJ. Good call, though.
Yeah. The format over there, if you're not familiar, as Josh mentioned, just one center. And then you also have the 3 guard positions, 3 forward positions. So 7 guys in total you can play on there. Lucky number 7, never a bad thing if you are a person who likes some little bit of luck juju in your life. Let's see here. Super draft. Anybody you think, obviously we don't have the ownership projections for super draft, and they can be a little bit harder to pin down than some of the other sites, though. Maybe not as hard as it may seem intellectually, but anybody you feel like maybe goes a bit under owned and just doesn't pop in a raw projection. Because for me, the same logic as Damian Lillard, like he's only a 1x multiplier, or actually no, he's a 1.1. Never mind. I think Lillard's kind of intriguing as a 1.1. I think he's not going to pop if you're using season long projections, but a little more usage from Melo or from no Melo out there. A little more opportunity with how he's been just shooting the lights out recently. Lillard's a guy that jumps out for me, but anybody jump out for you maybe outside that top 10 who looks like a guy you'd want in some lineups?
He's going to be essentially unowned because of Jokic and Joval, but I think DeAndre Ayton would be an interesting center option. He's 1.35. He's my 3rd ranked center as of right now. I can't imagine that a lot of people are going to him given Porzingis, Jokic, and Joval.
Yeah, that's a good point. Ayton is a 1.35x multiplier, and he also is inside Osmo's top 10 projected guys, which you can get on that Super Draft projections page. So certainly looks like a strong play on there. And it looks like we're going to be a couple hundred entries short in this tournament. So get in there while you can. Get the overlay, $17,500 in guaranteed prizes. So start doing it. Got 8 minutes left.
Michael Porter Jr. with Gary Harris out could see like 26, 27 minutes. He's 1.8x. That could be viable. I don't know if that gets you there enough, but I have him at a 12% chance of hitting 70, given that multiplier.
Yeah. I'm going through if there's anybody else here that pops out. Barea and Brunson, 2 guys who still do jump out with the 1.95x multiplier. And both guys project pretty well, even with the minutes haircut that has come to Brunson because of him not starting. So that could be something there to still go with those guys. But as Josh mentioned, maybe not in the same lineup. Monty Morris, too, still a 1.85x multiplier on there. He's kind of priced out of where you'd want to play him on the other DFS sites, but a 1.85x multiplier. It is a game against Milwaukee where they're going to let guys shoot threes, and Morris is a guy who I think they're probably not afraid of just banging him in. So has some upside there too, I would say, at a very high multiplier number. Let's see. Did I miss any? I thought I missed a question. I got a notification here, but I don't know what it's for. All right, well, whatever. Oh, God.
7 minutes to go, guys. Where are we at right now? 1,355. So we need 345 more people to get in here. That's a really sizable amount of overlay in 5 minutes. You guys should really check that out. So they're paying out 1,700 at 12. Yeah, we're gonna be staring some pretty nice overlay in the face.
Yeah, and the prize is on there too. It is not a rake-free site. We talk about that a lot, but it is still really nice prizes up top. 3,500 up top. Second place 1,250. Third place 850. Fourth place 600. The scale here does flow pretty naturally. Fifth place 500, and it's in range there. And the top 415 finishers do cash, so you're competing against a much smaller pool right now if this doesn't fill. So get in there. It's an easy way to win a little bit of a 0.5x boost there on your money. If this doesn't fill in the next few minutes. Yeah,
it might not be full on overlay, but you're definitely going to be paying some reduced rake. They also have a $200 guaranteed tournament, which I know doesn't sound like a lot, but if you're trying to build a bankroll, there are only 42 entries out of 234 as of right now. $30 to first, but if you're a guy that's not playing a lot, trying to get into a contest like that for only $1, even if there is minimal, like if there's overlay, great. Even if it's just like minimized rake, those are the sorts of places where you can build your bankroll up a little bit more efficiently.
Not taking any questions about DK specifically right now, DA, because this is a super draft show. But I guess on super draft, do you find Melton to be playable still, or is that just not a thing you would do on super draft?
No, not playable.
Okay. Yeah, Melton, a 1.75x multiplier on there. So that's certainly something to consider too. Definitely not a one-to-one thing with the guys you're playing. As Josh mentioned, he's very bullish on Melton on the other sites. But here, there's other ways to go where you can capture the upside without having to worry about fitting in a salary structure, which is kind of the appeal of Super Draft, why it does make it a different bit of a mental exercise than some of the other lineup sites that you're building on.
Trevor Ariza 1.8x, I think, is kind of interesting.
Yeah, I could see that. And certainly going to theoretically get a little bit of a boost from Melo out there. We talked about 14 shots out of the lineup with Melo not in the mix. And the assumption is that a lot of that will go to McCollum and Lillard, but certainly can see a couple go Ariza's way at a price or a multiplier rather on Super Draft that does work.
He could also play crazy minutes tonight if that game is close.
Yeah, and another person too, we again not trying to talk about it at much length, but another person, Kobe narrative certainly there for him too, former teammate, guy who's been very much about him. Good. Entries are going up. We're getting close. We're probably still not going to fill, but you got 3 minutes left to get on superdraft.io or download Superdraft on the App Store. Got a pretty swanky little app for themselves, so go check them out right now on either of those. Let's see. Anything else, I guess, on this where you would do? You talked about doing your research for Superdraft. Is there anything sort of overarching philosophy-wise you think is important for people to consider? I think for me, just the one thing that jumps out is don't play the exact same guys you're playing on the other sites, because that's like, it just doesn't benefit you. And I think that's sort of mentally what people end up doing a lot.
Yeah, it's the biggest piece of this game now is going to be trying to estimate ownership. It's not something that we have, but some of these guys are getting really, really, really chalky, like 70, 80, 90% owned. And I can only imagine that having guys at that ownership is wildly incorrect. It's really easy given the ability to have anybody you want. Okay, so it's not really easy, but you can run simulations to find out how often someone is one of the top 7 scorers. Maybe that's what I'll do for my office hours on Monday. We'll build that sim out. That could be pretty fun for everybody. There you go. Monday, office hours, 1 p.m. This will be behind the paywall, only for subs, but we will build out a simulator to see how often someone will be a top 7 scorer on Superdraft. Because that really is a decent approximation of how owned people should be. And if you see that and you expect someone like Zion a couple days ago was a 2x multiplier, like 90% owned or something, that's too high. That's just too high. Just because, like, I've got, I don't know, 30 guys projected for like roughly 50 to 60 fantasy points. You're going to see a lot of guys that are going like that should be 25 to 30% owned that go 2% owned, 3% owned. And trying to identify that beforehand, trying to get an idea of, does public ownership at FanDuel or DraftKings relate to Superdraft ownership in any way? Because people see those guys getting touted. Do stars that are all getting like 1 or 1.1 multipliers, the LeBrons, the Dame Lillards of the world, are they getting over-owned given their lack of a multiplier situation? Are guys with big multipliers getting over-owned? I think Zion's a fantastic play today. He's 4th for me. I don't really know what that corresponds to in terms of how much I should own him over the course of a tournament. So that'll be something that we could look into. I'm really digging doing some extra Superdraft research.
Yeah, look, I mean, anytime there's a new site format, there's going to be a little bit of an edge for you as somebody who's playing on a lot of sites. I mean, obviously Josh, but also you listening to this right now at home. And that is one of the advantages of getting in on these sites early. And, people who played on back in the old Giraffe Street days and all the sites that ended up becoming the ones that we know, those were a lot of the big tournament winnings. As the field gets sharper, one of your edges is playing on the sites people aren't on. Talk about that a lot with some of the other sites that we've promoted. And it's doubly so with Superdraft because people still don't ever read on how it's working and how it's operating. And Josh will figure it out as best he can. But that is one man doing the work and not a lot of people out there doing it across the industry. It looks like we got to 1644 out of 1700. So still be saving a little bit on rake there, but probably not overlaying, but still a really good tournament on there. And this is happening every night. They've had tournaments as big as 4,500 up top this week. They're doing a lot more to make sure to get the casual players in. They're also doing these shows with us where we are now locking about a half hour later. So you're missing out on all the important Reggie Jackson plays. Darn, but you're getting in all the rest of them on the slate. So just tune in then. I think we're doing this again Monday, but go support Superdraft and check it out for yourself as much as us. Go to superdraft.io and use the promo code OSMO to sign up. And when you do so, you get yourself $20 free with a deposit of $100 or more. Josh, anything else you want to plug here? We are locked now on Superdraft and we have spent every bit of content we have.
I'm going to plug Solomon Hill starting for Jaren Jackson.
All right. We got one thing.
I'm cool with Kyle Anderson coming off the bench for that one once Jamal Murray parks his ass. No, I don't have anything else. I'm exhausted. I've been a part of way too many shows today.
Yeah, we appreciate you guys. Hit the like button before you go. Subscribe and hit that notification bell. We have content coming out all the time on this channel, many shows, and we appreciate that. And also, this Sunday we have a little Awesemo special, which our guy Jordan's, who you might see on our betting shows, as slacking us about right now. We got a betting show where it'll be Lofty, Ben, Alex, and myself doing some content for the Vegas Stats and Information Network, which is a big one, available on a lot of things, also available on Sirius. But we're doing a show, I think just an hour-long show, I believe at 2 p.m. Eastern time, going to 3 p.m. So check that out. It's a little bit of step up in pay grade. They Josh refused to do it steadfastly. The negotiations got out of hand for him, so we're doing it instead. You insisted solely upon talking about Andy Reid and Shakira's butt, and they were like, that's a non-starter. I think was the issue.
No, Andy Reid's butt.
Andy Reid's probably comparably sized butts, if we're being honest. But one prop we didn't talk about today, by the way, Andy Reid eating a cheeseburger during the game for $1,200 on some sites. I enjoy that prop.
That's hilarious.
All right, guys, we appreciate you. Have a great weekend. Enjoy the Super Bowl. Again, subscribe, hit the notification bell. I'm sure we have content coming out throughout this weekend, so make sure to watch then. And we'll be back with you guys on Monday. So enjoy your weekends. Good luck tonight. And let's pray for JJ Barea and Jalen Brunson relative to our ownerships, respectively. Have a good one, guys. Bye.